There we go.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's had a good Saturday. Hope everybody's had a good weekend. I've got a very special guest here, and we're going to go ahead and introduce him. Let him introduce himself, and we'll kind of get into how we met, how we got hooked up here on the bar here, and then I will we'll start just to kind of discussing video games and all that other cool shit. So. I've got with me here. His name is TH3. Welcome to the bar. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, dude. So a little bit about how we met. I'm pretty sure it was basically just yesterday, or we might have seen each other in passing. I'm kind of off and on in regards to being online, being offline. One minute you'll see me, the next couple months you might not.
Right.
But I tend to be more along the lines of casual type of gamer. I follow OJ over at Player Essence. I've seen he's had a few episodes on your channel.
Oh yeah, he's fun.
Excellent YouTuber in my opinion. Makes some great videos. I mean, if you haven't checked him out, do check him out.
Definitely,
Just have to do that's my typical shout out. But we got into a fun conversation that I'm pretty sure we'll get into it later on here. I won't get into it right now. But we just kind of like sort of side talk to strangers. I'm not afraid to, reach out if somebody offers me the opportunity, and it's all good. It's all friendly. So I mean, I just came down here, settled down, have a bit of fun. So
100%. And actually, I think we kind of came to a little bit of a consensus offline, but again, we'll get into all that.
yeah.
I actually had some interesting thoughts as well when you brought up Mario Kart, but again, something we'll get into here later on. Um,
Mhm.
so a little bit about I'm going to go and introduce myself to people who might not know me. So basically, I'm a old school gamer. I started here roughly the NES era. I haven't been around as long as OJ has. He was there for some of the Atari 2600. He was telling me, so it's like, holy shit, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's
That's like,
ridiculous.
yeah, that's amazing. But skipped a couple generations, and I'm sure we'll get into why that was here during this generation. But came back really heavy duty with the Nintendo Switch was one of the things
Hmm.
that brought me back into the fold here. But other than that, yeah, I'm your typical digital bartender that always likes to have people on. I'll talk to anybody, and yeah, we got into a kind of a fun conversation the other day. I made, and let me be clear, this was a hyperbolic comment, but boy, did it spark discussion. And the crustiness of the Sonic the Hedgehog games came up, some of the 3D Sonic the Hedgehog games. And I remarked, yeah, they're crusty ass, just like the 3D Mario games. And basically exploded the fucking chat for like a solid 30 minutes.
No, I mean, you got to have some of those sometimes, to keep the crowd on their toes. You don't want this
Now,
thing
some
to
of
get
that
off
is
topic.
legitimate. Some of that is legitimate feelings, but I'll get into why here in a little bit. But yeah, so now you are. It seems like you're somebody who likes 3D Mario, so you're kind of the perfect person to have this discussion with. So what is
And
it? What
you
is it
might,
that you enjoy about that?
so let me clarify a bit too, because I feel like I ignored something in regards to your opening monologue there. In
Yeah,
terms of my gaming, like I'm 25, I'm not old. So like I grew up, first thing I remember, we had an N64 at daycare,
right.
and we would just play like Smash Bros, Mario Party on the N64. So I didn't grow up with the SNES NES. So
Ah,
that might be one of the reasons when we get into the conversation
100%. Yeah. Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
why I'm not fond of, and I shouldn't say not fond. I'm being kind of exaggerative when saying
Me
that.
too.
I tend to do that a lot.
No,
It's
no,
like one
me,
of
me,
those.
me too as well. It's kind of the same thing. It makes a point. Um,
It's like oh shit, I didn't realize I said that. But no, I mean, when it comes down to it, the first console I owned as a 5-year-old was a GameCube,
oh
and
shit. Okay,
I hate,
GameCube baby. Okay.
which is ironic because I am a huge 3D Mario guy.
Okay.
Sunshine sucked. Like I will not defend that game. If you will hear me
Yeah,
defend any games, Sunshine will not be it.
Sunshine's the one that kind of sent me over the edge in terms of like why I ducked out of gaming for a while, to be honest. And so to kind of set the stage for that. So got the NES. I got the NES was an old hand me down Nintendo system that my dad brought home from a buddy in the army back when he was in the army at Fort Benning, right? And he brings us back, and it's a box that's got Mario. Didn't have Mario 3 in it or Mario 2, just the original Mario. It had, and with Duck Hunt, had the dual cartridge. It had like Excite Bike, Defender 2, Gunsmoke, a lot of good classics, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of started gaming by watching my dad play Mario Brothers and then emulating his movements as player 2. I actually really miss that old school 2-player mode where you go back and forth and weren't playing together. It's kind of a cool mode. I wish that they still gave at least the option for that, but that's besides the point. Became a huge 2D Mario fan, and this translated absolutely to 3, which I still put as one of the top games of forever. Mario World didn't like it as well as 3, but enjoyed it, still enjoyed it. And then the N64 shows up along with Mario 64, and I remember playing Mario 64 and being like, "All right, this is kind of clunky ass. It's fun, but it's kind of clunky ass compared to the butter precision of the 2D games." And like kind of an interesting experiment, but man, I can't wait to see what they're able to do with the 2D games with this hardware. And boy, that worked out fun for me. So we never did get that game. And then the GameCube shows up with this window washing game. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this window washing game? What does this have to do with Mario Brothers, man? And so that, there's no, they're clearly not going to do a 2D Mario game on this system. So this is clearly the new pattern. This is meant to replace 2D Mario. It's okay, but it's not my bag. So you know what? Hard pass. I'm just going to go ahead and sit GameCube out. And so sit it out. I did, and sat out gaming. I did until the Wii showed up with Wii Sports, which was fun. And of course, that was the one game that everybody fucking played until the 2009's fucking Neutron bomb drop of New Super Mario Brothers Wii, and it basically made me feel like a kid again.
I'll warn you real quick too. I am not a Wii guy. Like I'm actually one of those people who does not like the Wii a lot.
Okay.
And I'll get into why later on.
I can't help but like the Wii. It made me a lot of money because I also jumped in as an investor for that fucking system. So.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't blame you for that.
It made
it's like
me
one of those.
Lot of money.
When I say I don't like it, don't take it as me like
no
insulting the base that likes it. It's
not.
just.
And again, we're both adults here. We're not like these weirdos on Twitter that OJ's always having to deal with. It's like, oh, you insulted my senpai. So
it's gaming. It's not that serious.
It's a fucking video. Yeah, it's not that serious, bro. Yeah, it's. I love these guys, like these crazy Final Fantasy fans that he's always dealing with, where he like says the most minute criticism of the franchise. He actually not even a criticism. He just states a fact. He's like, "Hey, Final Fantasy game didn't sell that well." And they come at him with the most crazy fucking vengeance.
If you think Pokemon fans are stupid, Final Fantasy fans are stupid, but that's a story for another time.
Oh, it's painful too, because I do like my share of Final Fantasy games. And I'm not like a fan that's gonna suck off anything that franchise throws out. But hated 13, for example. But
and I'm more of a platformer guy myself. RPGs. It's kind of ironic that I'm friends with OJ in the sense of I'm not a big RPG guy like him.
I like the good ones.
I like the ones that everybody likes, but that's about it.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VI is great. Chrono Trigger's great.
It's when you get into those like side JRPGs, like those really Japanese stuff, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's for me.
Well, it's funny you mention it. I'm playing one right now. I just recently became a Trails guy on the internet, and the reason I say Trails guy is because, like, if you've ever run into like Trails people, they won't shut the fuck up about this series. And I'm friends with a lot of Trails guys, and so finally, it's like, all right, I'm gonna give this a try. It's really good. I mean, it's really fucking good. But it's got its share of problems too. I'm not gonna lie. I can understand why these games scare people off. Like there's one thing where like one of your party members is clearly like a young girl. Let me just put it that way. Just for sake of our conversation, she's a younger woman, okay? And this guy's like, yeah, I'd love to motorboat those titties, like one of the NPCs. And I'm just like, okay, I can kind of see why this would scare some people off.
Yeah, that Japanese fan service, right? Yeah, that Japanese fan service right there. Like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't. As long as they're legal, obviously it's whatever. When it gets to the kid range and what they cut out of stuff like Fire Emblem Fates, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Well, and it's that weird limbo that a lot of the weeb stuff tends to get into. So it's like, oh no, I'm not a kid. I'm a 2,000-year-old vampire. It's like, okay, dude. Like,
and my tricky thing is like, since I'm more of a casual gamer, I usually pick like 5 or 6 games each year that I buy,
Right.
and I just play the crap out of them. And I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'll play it, and then I'll not want to play it ever again. That being said, I do need to play Pikmin 4 again. I do need to play that again because
Oh,
that
me
game was
too.
so freaking.
Me too.
That game was so good.
Yeah, we're gonna talk
But
about that one too, because that one is
so
really
like what you're
incredible.
mentioning though, with like Final Fantasy and all these RPGs, I think my biggest issue is just what if I get like 20 hours into it and I just don't vibe with it anymore? Like it's like one of those like, well, I just wasted like a day
Sunk
playing
costs.
this game
Yeah.
because it's like FF7 Rebirth. I do I think it's a bad game? No. Do I think it's an amazing game? Not really.
Okay.
Like it's one of those. It's good. It's just I don't understand what a lot of it has to do with each other. Which I don't know. Maybe that's just me, and I know I'm probably in the minority on that one. But like all the open world side mission stuff, it's like that's my favorite part of the game.
Okay.
But it doesn't really mean much. You know, like if you look at it, you don't really need to do all that if you don't want to, and it doesn't really add or take away anything.
For sure.
So it's like what are we doing here? You know, and
For,
I just got done beating. Oh, sorry, I just got done beating Paper Mario: 1,000-Year Door. That's an excellent game. Like that's a game that's.
So
Oh my god.
so what's amazing is like I'm very critical of the GameCube, and it's so funny for so long. Like this is one of the games people should have thrown at me instead of throwing fucking Mario Sunshine or fucking
The GameCube,
Zelda Wind
yeah,
Wanker or these other
the
fucking games
GameCube,
that didn't even
yeah,
sell their goddamn system.
yeah, the GameCube has like 30 to 50 games on it that I would say I need it now. To where it's like a lot of it's on Switch. I need the original Luigi's Mansion on Switch and not the 3DS port. Give me the like, just give me a port of the original one. Like I'd take
I heard
that.
they picked the wrong game. I've heard a lot of people say that when they pick number 2.
I didn't hate to. It's just it's more meant for handheld play, which I do think fits the Switch well.
Sure.
And I do think the 3DS has an excellent library that they do need to port more games over from that system. So I didn't have an issue with 2. Plus, when you look at the sales of 3, we'll get into the Switch effect later on. I mean, you got to port it. I mean, you got to do some Luigi's Mansion just because the franchise momentum has never been bigger than it is right now. But like,
I cannot believe the way that some of these franchises have blown up. I would have told you, like, Pikmin is one. Like, you mentioned Pikmin 4 and how good that fucking game is. And
oh my god,
100% concur. Beyond that, like, I don't care how good Pikmin was. I would have been the guy that told you from a businessman perspective, because I do executive leadership. I would have
mm-hmm.
told you that, I don't mind Pikmin games being made, but it's a waste of fucking time putting Nintendo EPD1 on that fucking
Yeah.
series. What a waste of fucking time. Go give that to
Well,
like Way Forward.
that makes me happy. Yeah, that makes me happy though. Nintendo recently hired like 3,000 new workers, which
Yes.
I mean, and I assume most of those are going to be studio works making TV series, like they had said.
A lot of it.
Some of it
Yeah.
will. But I mean, even then, even if we just get like 500 new devs, like this could be like 3 games a year.
They're
Like
ramping
I
up
mean,
for sure. Which is a risk going into the economy we're going into, but it's one that I think they have to take.
and if the worst push comes to shove, I think Nintendo, in terms of companies, and I will say to like people out there, I do tend to be more of a Nintendo fan than other consoles. Nintendo has my childhood. It
Right.
has my growing up years. I never really related to Xbox or Sony like some people did.
Right.
Nintendo was always my go-to. But if you look at Nintendo where they position themselves, they got the IPs to where even if their console doesn't sell well, let's make a TV show about Zelda. Let's make a TV show about Donkey Kong Country. You know, it's
Yep.
like
And
they
see,
got
exactly. You see exactly what they're doing then with the theme parks and the movies and the expansion of the IP. Um,
yeah.
there's two sides of that. Number one is they understand we're going into severe macroeconomic headwinds, and they understand they no longer have the dedicated handheld market to buoy their company if things go south on the video games on the console. So
And I
they've got
don't think, yeah,
yeah.
and I don't think the video games will go too far south
I don't
simply
either.
because it's one of those. I do think it'll be a rough patch. You're seeing it in movies right now, to
Hmm.
where the movie theaters, by God, they're struggling.
God,
Like
if
I feel
Furiosa
bad.
can't fucking make it, none can, because that movie was amazing. Oh my god, homie.
I I I've recently just not watched anything Disney just because I don't like the way the stories have really gone. It's not a politics thing. It's just I think they're getting lazy thing.
Well, I think I think the politics with Disney gets overblown. What it is Disney is literally like you can only milk a cow for so long. Like take Star Wars for example. There's a lot of hubbub over Star Wars, but what's really going on there is they've just milked that fucking cow dry. Star Wars is supposed to be an event. It's supposed to be special, and what we've gotten
And
a fucking Star Wars property every 9 months since they got the fucking thing.
When you look at Mario though, like they release like 5 Mario games each year, right?
Yeah.
But each one hits, if you know what I mean. It's like each one, even when it's bad, it's fine. Like it's nothing like I wouldn't say Mario Strikers Battle League is a good game, if that's fair to say.
No, but it does its job.
But it doesn't ruin the franchise.
No.
Like it doesn't do anything that bad.
No, 3D Mario, I will give that. That's one thing I'll give 3D Mario compared to Metroid and Zelda, especially Metroid. But Metroid compared to the other 2 franchises that I would consider to be important IPs of Nintendo. Now, keep in mind, I'm not talking Pokemon because Pokemon is technically like a second party. But in terms of the first party, the big 3 I consider to be Zelda. It's Mario, Zelda, Metroid, distantly in that order. And
I actually disagree with that.
Okay.
I actually strongly disagree with that.
Sure. And again, I'm not necessarily talking about sales with that, but if we're talking sales, it's definitely not anymore. But what I mean is that they do certain jobs that are very specific that give Nintendo a job that the other 2 can't do. So with Mario, you've got a family-friendly platformer. With Zelda, you've got that big adventure game. And with Metroid, you've got that experience. And when people joke about Nintendo being kiddie, you can kindly point them to Metroid's direction. It's that hard upstream customer experience that Nintendo otherwise would lack.
Also, thank God for Metroid Dread. Like, thank God for that game.
It's my favorite.
That game might have saved the series as a whole. And I'm being serious when saying that.
Sakamoto about killed it with Other M. Like, he about fucking ran that goddamn thing into the ground with the mommy Metroid and being scared of Ridley and all this other weird shit that he just... Metroid is perfect proof that the creator of something often doesn't understand why the thing resonates with fans, I feel like.
It's one of those things to where I actually do think more companies should do this. Let the fans be more involved with the product than the company itself, because I'd say the fans of Metroid know what makes Metroid good as comparison to like what the creator there might have thought had been good.
Well, you have to at least, yeah.
And I'm not saying every single fan. I'm just saying like ones who surround themselves with it. So like, for instance, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you've heard of this guy before. I think his name was Amsa.
Okay.
Have you heard of that name before or not?
It rings a bell, but I can't say I know offhand.
He is a professional Yoshi player during Smash Melee.
Okay.
And he was actually working hand in hand with Sakurai about competitive nature stuff on Ultimate.
Yeah.
It's like they've been doing an excellent job of just listening to fan response. And I mean, I'm not a business person. I am social sciences, so I kind of catch what you're saying with your drift. My biggest thing I can stress to people, though, is just use common sense. Like, if you use common sense, you can see where these companies are going. Like, I can usually call a game when it's going to happen, not because I know anything. I don't have sources. But what feels natural? Like, what does Nintendo need, if that makes sense? Like, does Nintendo need another big console-selling game for Switch 1? No. I mean, you got like 50 games you can play on that system. You just get some fun little side games that everybody might want. Like a 2D Zelda.
Yeah,
like,
well,
they
really, and again, as someone who wants the Switch to go on forever, literally, I'm going to give advice contrary to what I would like, but Nintendo seems to be settling in on a new system. That's going to happen. The moment that happens, they need to learn from Microsoft and Sony and on what not to do. They need to focus and support that systems and give it games that you can only get on that system. It's got to happen. And if you don't, the Switch will eat its lunch. The Switch will eat its lunch.
I can see the Switch 2 going one of 2 ways. It's either going to be like the PS2 or the PS3. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of in between.
Well, Nintendo always has the potential to surprise you and do something weird. I don't think it's going to happen here under Furukawa. OJ's made a good point that Furukawa is just not that guy that's going to go off and let the game developers run him over and do some weirdo fucking thing that's going to turn the market off, like they did with the Wii U and like they did with, like, it's just not going to happen. He
Yeah,
thinks
they
he
can't
thinks it's going to be a sustaining innovation on the Switch.
they can't afford those risks. They really cannot.
Not
I mean,
not in this macroeconomic and geopolitical conditions.
however, what I do want to say is they can't get comfortable either. And what I mean by that is don't fall into the same Wii U situation to where the Wii U relied heavily on the Wii's name to the point where the system didn't look that different and it really wasn't that much different. I mean, obviously, was it a more powerful system? Yes. But I mean, 90% of people when the Wii U came out didn't know what it was, and obviously it's probably as simple as just calling it Switch 2, but like if Nintendo just gets ahead of it and gets a bunch of good games on it, you got a PS2 situation on your hands, because I don't think it's going to be that expensive in comparison to what current consoles are, which I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but that's just me.
Well, they want to have it as cheap. Nintendo will put it as cheap as they can. They will. That tends to be their strategy.
And
because they come from that old school potential. If you remember in the old school, and Nintendo still comes from that, the systems actually were very cheap and the software was expensive. So you're talking $70, $80, $100 for an NES cartridge back in the 1980s when the system would cost $150.
Yeah.
So it's cheap hardware. Hardware as cheap as you can get it, and then the software is as expensive as it has to be. So some games are $70, some games are $40, some games are $60.
I just think it's been extremely fascinating this generation that we are now going into technically the 7th, 8th year of the Switch's life. There's not been a price cut. Like, we can say, if you want to say the Switch Lite, I'll give you that. But like the non OLED Switches have always been $300. The lights have always been $200.
So yes and no. From an economics perspective, one could argue that the price cut has been staying $300. Or staying $349 in the case of the OLED. So you could technically say that's a price cut, but I get what you're saying. And it's a great talking point to say, hey, this system never had to have a price cut, and it's still selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, and then the Nintendo Selects line not being a thing this generation I wouldn't say it surprised me in the sense of this is Nintendo's best generation in terms of game output. I'd argue ever. The only one that comes close is the GameCube and maybe the 3DS. And again, I'm a big GameCube guy. I can just go through that library. I'll have some statistics to back that up too.
Sure, yeah, because I'm sure we'll definitely get into. Now that's one that I'm slowly but surely coming around as I experience some of the software that got lost in the shuffle. I can see why. Put it this way: I can see at this point I'm not hostile to it anymore like I used to be. I can see why people like the system.
Oh, absolutely, and I think it's just a handful of games that really get people upset, as in like maybe 2 or 3.
Well, you got to look at it from my perspective. Okay, so you got to look at it from the perspective of an old school gamer. The N64 was already kind of going off in a direction I didn't care for. The GameCube was like another fucking world to me, man. So you had this weird fucking Zelda with all these bizarre fucking malformed weirdo NPCs with their snot pods and their tingle and their in the weird puzzle dungeons, and less emphasis on combat. You had the Mario game where you're washing fucking windows off. You had this Star Fox game where you're wandering around with a staff solving puzzles. Like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is all this shit? And so I was out. It's like, you know what? This is not clearly. I'm an old fuddy duddy. Clearly, gaming has outgrown me because Sony and Microsoft didn't have a fucking chance with me. So clearly, I'm just outgrown gaming. And what I failed to realize is, no, I didn't outgrow gaming. Gaming just left me behind and went in a direction I didn't care for. And
I actually think I'm nearing that point. Yeah. However, I think it's more so I've had a falling out with gaming that the Switch saved me from.
Uh-huh. Yeah, me
And
too. Because
my,
I left with the GameCube again, or the Wii U again. I'm like, nope, fuck this. Actually, it was the late Switch out or Wii output that Wii Sports was awesome. Donkey Kong
mhm,
Country Returns was awesome. Punch Out was awesome. So that basically, roughly from 2006 to 2009, I was really happy with that output. Then Other M happened. Then Wii Music
mhm.
happened. Then Skyward Sword happened, and I was out. I'm just like, okay, well, it's time to go put some money in elsewhere because it's clear that Nintendo is returning to their weirdo ways again.
So yeah, my thing is that I was let down by the PS3 generation.
Hmm.
I bought an Xbox One. That was my mistake because that system, my God,
Not good.
that's a that's a joke of a system if you ask me. There's just
Okay.
nothing on it,
Well, I didn't buy
and
one.
I, what was that?
I didn't buy one.
No, I
Yeah.
don't blame you. If you want to know anything that you might want on Xbox, it's on either on PC or it's on PS4. I
Well,
mean, like there's,
and I have the PC, but in terms of console gaming, I set that whole gen out. That whole gen.
and I'm a console gamer. I don't, like I said, I don't have a PC.
Right.
I probably need one, but I don't have one.
Right.
But like looking at it, I was kind of even lately with like Switch gaming. Nintendo has been the only one to truly give you what you think of in terms of gaming experience, like excellent single player games, some bad multiplayer games, but a few amazing multiplayer games like Mario Kart 8, Smash Bros, stuff like that.
Splatoon 3. Yeah,
Whereas
there's some good shit.
I'm looking at the current gen of PS5 and Xbox Series, and you want to talk about gaming straying away from what it's supposed to be? No better proof than those two consoles right there.
Well,
Like, I mean,
think about what's happening there. So one of the things is it used to be that when Microsoft and Sony first started, right? One of the things that was different if you I was in PC gaming at that time. I was always kind of a PC gamer off and on. And one of the things about PC gaming is there used to be a very high technical IQ to get into PC gaming. They used to have to, modem. You have to alter your sound card. There's so many things that went into being a PC gamer that it locked off. Unless you were a tech dork, you weren't really a PC gamer back then, right? Now,
mm-hmm,
as systems have streamlined video, not the PC, as it's streamlined, and as things like Steam and good old games take a lot of the guesswork out of optimizing for each game. You used to have to optimize when you put in a new game. You'd have to optimize your system again for a new game. Steam does all that for you in the background. So what's
mm-hmm.
happening now is where consoles like the PlayStation and the 360 used to disrupt PC gaming as the cheap disruptor, the disruptive innovator. Now what's happening is PC gaming is disrupting these expensive, bulky consoles. And now the console
Yeah.
is just a less capable plug into TV PC, which with a fucking Xbox controller and an extra long HDMI cord, I can get the same experience with my PC.
Mm-hmm.
So they're being
And my
completely eaten. They're being devoured by PC right now.
and yeah, you're definitely focusing on the PC aspect, which I appreciate because I don't really have much expertise into that.
Yeah, that's
My
what's
issue
happening.
actually, yeah, and then my issue is too the games themselves. I like to call the modern day gaming basically the Fortnite effect, and you see it
Yeah,
if you don't know what I
it's all
mean.
live service shit and yeah,
It's
gambling
all like
mechanics. And,
we're going to update the game when we feel like it. If it ever gets stale, then we might develop something new for it. We might give you an old map. We might give you a map that you remember as a kid,
yeah,
which is
it's
ironic because like that's how long this has been a thing. It's making me feel old now.
no, we,
But
we
like,
both talked and we're both physical. I'm a physical only gamer. If it's not physical, it doesn't even fucking exist to me. I don't even bother with anything that's live service trash or
but
if
I
I have
mean,
to phone home to play my fucking game so I can never own my game, you can fuck off. I'm not gonna do it.
and then the sad part is that I can tell that Sony is starting to cater more because I have a PS5.
Hmm.
I can tell they're starting to cater more towards the younger gamer. And what I mean by that is their games are significantly shorter to a point where it is actually distracting. And what I mean by that is Spider-Man 2. As somebody who played and beat that game, I got about as much out of it as I did Miles Morales, which is a DLC expansion for the first game.
Right.
And like that's just to me that's unacceptable. Or like Hellblade 2 on Series X or PC or whatever you play. Like that's a 6-hour game. You know, so we're paying more. We're paying $70 for these games, and they're just not as long. You know, and it sucks. Like a lot of modern day gaming, minus Nintendo. You look at Tears of the Kingdom, people might get upset. Oh, it's a $70 game on Switch. That game gave you a lot. Like that game gave you a 100-hour experience if you were really looking for it. You know.
Oh yeah, in comparison to a lot of games, especially with a lot of in comparison to what's going on there. 100%. Give me
Yeah, and I know
one
with
second here. I just got a message on Twitter. It looks like there's something wrong. So guys, if you're trying to chat, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what the hell's going on or what I've done, but it looks like people can't chat in the live streams. Give me 1 second. We're just going to try to work something out here real quick. I'm going to jump in and see if I can chat in the live stream.
I actually didn't see the comments pop up on my end.
Yeah, there is no they're not able to chat, which is very weird.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump into my own channel real quick, and I'm going to see if we can't solve this. Oh goodness, it's always something with me. Sorry, guys. I am technically shit, but y'all are used to this by now. Just we'll all laugh it off together. So we jump in here, and yeah, I don't see where we can comment. What the fuck? Okay, so go to edit video, maybe. Oh, that's why. Oh, these motherfucker.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I accidentally selected made for kids, which is not true, by the way. Okay, guys, you should be able to chat now. Let me refresh this. I see what I did wrong.
Made for kids.
I am so sorry, everybody. Yeah, I am not kid friendly, so that was a fucking lie. So, oh yeah. But a bunch of kids just found out a whole load about economics, but this hasn't been a very cussy stream compared to what I can do though. So that's good. All right, so let me try to do this again. So we're going to go to my channel. We're going to see if we can. Oh, comments coming through now? There we go. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, sorry guys for being a dumb motherfucker. So hopefully, yeah. I was gonna say it. I'm not the most poppin' place compared to say like an OJ stream, but we were getting an unusual lack of comments coming in.
I kind of noticed it. I was like, I don't want to say anything, but at the same time too, it's like I don't know if that's just how it is, so I'm just gonna let it be. So
we're definitely no player essence, but usually there's something happening. But that said, I was kind of chalking it off to we're early, so most people couldn't show up. But yeah, okay, here they come now. Yeah, I'm just a dumb idiot who decided to say this was a kid's show. So
it's fine. The kids can deal with the shit on occasion.
Yeah,
they say it to me sometimes. So.
Yeah, if they're kids, we're just born into tears anyway.
That's true.
Yeah, image of your volume wasn't working. Can you still hear me though? See, now we got another possible problem. Which heck, I haven't had this much technical difficulties for a while. I kind of regressed. But so anyway, where were we? Now we got that working. I'll just wait for them to either say they can hear me or that I'm a mutie again. But
you're good.
So yeah, we're talking about PlayStation and Microsoft.
So I kind of want to just get back real quick to Spider-Man on PS, Spider-Man 2. If you guys like the game, that's your call. I just hate the focus or emphasis that cinematic stories have had on gaming to the point where when I was playing Spider-Man 1, the story was fine. I mean, it was good. I actually really like Spider-Man 1. That was a really good game in my opinion. I loved Miles Morales.
Okay.
But then some of the story in 2, it's just, I don't want to say that they were trying to like imply anything. I just questioned where some of the stuff was going.
Okay.
To where it was like, obviously the Venom story gets kind of messy at times and it makes seem Peter's like a jerk. But like a lot of the times I've noticed in gaming, they just want to make a simple, concise story where they throw as much stuff in there as they can.
Right.
Without having any of it actually make sense. If that makes sense.
Right.
If you know what I'm talking.
Oh,
you know
for sure.
So, like,
and I've gotten more accepting of, as Juice Man Vaughn would call them. I'm not a big fan of. You're talking about what Juice Man Vaughn calls those popcorn ass games, and I'm not the biggest fan of those in particular. I am starting to get a little bit more of a tolerance for narrative, But again, keep in mind, I'm old school. For the most part, unless you are, I feel like a game is a sandbox or a stage, and I feel like we're the actors on the stage. And the
Mm-hmm.
goal of a video game is to let me tell my story. So
And it's like
yeah.
And with
So
like narrative stories, I didn't mind Telltale games. Like I did not mind those because it's story only.
well,
The only thing
yeah,
that you do,
that's almost like a book, a visual novel.
but like those were fun in the sense
Yeah.
of like you could control what you wanted to do,
Uh huh.
and yet you didn't have any play involved with it. Whereas like Spider-Man, I beat that. I have basically 100% of that game minus achievements because achievements suck. But like I 100% of that game in like 20 hours, like 20, 25 hours, which for a modern game that costs $70, that's nothing. Like that really is nothing. Like Mario Odyssey, when we get to the whole 3D sort of debate, stuff like that, it took me 70 hours to 100% that game. And it took me like 30 hours to
Yeah, I
100%
don't
Pikmin
know if
4.
I've even come close to 100% in Odyssey, to be honest. There's some of those moons are brutal.
I will say the final levels, once you collect all the moons, the 999 reward is just stupid. Like
Oh,
it
okay.
is stupid, but it's a funny stupid, as in like, man, this is really dumb.
Right.
But I chose to do this, so I don't really care. It's
Man,
not as bad as the postcard on Sunshine.
and I'll tell you, Odyssey is genuinely so good.
Odyssey is the best Mario game on Switch. I'm gonna just say that. Which
I'd
controversial
have to
opinion.
play Odyssey again. But here's the thing: as a 2D Mario, old school 2D Mario wonk, wasn't super impressed with Wonder. I wasn't. Um,
Wonder was fine. That was about it.
it was fine. That's the thing. But 2D Mario can't just be fine. It can't be. It
I
has to
actually
be
I loved it.
outstanding.
I liked it a lot better than the new games.
I liked it better
But you
than
could
you.
tell
I'm gonna go back and play Wii. I might like Wii better, but I did like it better than you.
the only game for the new series that I'm willing to give a pass to in regards to it being part of the new series is DS,
Okay.
just because it was the first one.
See, and because
But
I
that
never had a DS, which that's people gonna kill me, but I never had a DS. But that I hear good things about New Super Mario Brothers DS. Reason I give Mario Wii so much love is because it was the first console 2D Mario in 18 years, and
mhm.
so it gets a pass from me, even though it used a lot of the same world themes. Even though it did add multiplayer of a different sort than I'm used to, which is the 4-player multiplayer. So there's something to be said
And
there.
I will say I thought Mario Wonder's multiplayer was a lot better than Wii's. Like I'm not a fan of that style. Just like a bunch
Where
of
you
people.
can knock each other in the pits and shit.
It was so stupid.
Yeah.
I
Um,
started eating people with Yoshi and just dropping Yoshi off the edge.
so, yeah, I would much prefer the back and forth. The one player goes as far as they can go, then it's 2 players' turn, etc. That was the old school, because what that does is that lets people game with their kids, and their kid can
Mhm.
learn video games by watching their parents play. It's how I learned. So
Yeah,
I'm very fond of that mode. Just please bring that back for Mario. But Mario Wonder, and I think the proof is in the pudding, and the proof of the pudding is in the taste, and the taste of Mario Wonder seems to be lacking because it kind of stalled out around 12, 13 million units, which for a 2D Mario game, I understand fastest selling. I know, OJ, I know, fastest selling.
it's.
But
I'll tell you right now, it's gonna be at 18 million by the end of the year. I'll
sure,
put money on that.
and it could be. And I would be shocked if it's not. It's a fucking 2D Mario game. But the
I'm
fact
actually,
that
yeah.
it isn't already at 20 with this
I
install base and this much passion for Switch software shocks me.
I
Shocks me.
dis I disagree with that simply because if you recall, the build up to it was not that high. As in, they just kind of announced it. They showed you
Insane.
another. They showed you another trailer or two, but then it just released. It wasn't like Odyssey, where they built up Odyssey for a full year.
That's because it's their precious fucking 3D Mario, and they love it so much. And I get so mad.
I mean, that being said, though, in regards to like the 3D stuff, I mean, if we want to get into that, I guess
Yeah.
I would actually probably say that argument you made yesterday about, well, 2D has technically, in terms of moving hardware,
Yes.
outdone 3D.
Until recently.
The
With Odyssey, you can make the argument that Odyssey moved hardware.
And the funny thing is that I don't actually disagree with that, but I kind of do. And then at the same time, I agree with what you said about recency bias. And here's why I kind of disagree with you.
Okay.
In the sense of, I don't think 3D Mario has really been given that opportunity, if that makes sense.
Well, it's not for a lack of them. It's not for a lack of effort. They fucking tried everything. Remember, they literally put a tutorial out with Mario Galaxy 2 to teach you how to play the game. Because I mean, it's not for a lack of trying. They have tried everything they can to move me into, and people like me, into 3D Mario, but it's just not working until Odyssey.
And what I mean by that is, in terms of the general public, and what I mean by that is, if you look at the NES, I mean, Mario Bros was the reason you bought an NES to start. I mean, I feel like that's pretty obvious.
It's the $150 to $200 game. Yep. See,
people
do that all the time. People are like, well, you can't, that's not impressive because that's a pack-in game. I'm like, that's even more impressive. People spent $200 to get to that fucking game.
Which, off-topic tangent before I get back into Mario.
Yeah, $200 game, man.
Nintendo, how do you sell 100 million Wiis, but then only 83 million copies of Wii Sports? It was packaged in with every Wii. Like, that doesn't compute in my brain.
Well, and part of it may be that some Wiis were actually packaged later on with a game called Wii Play, which, if you look at that one, maybe it's crazy. What did Wii Play sell? Let me get that pulled up here. You're
it was like 29 million. I'm pretty sure it was something stupid.
Yeah,
and the only reason people bought that game is because it came with a Wiimote.
That's right.
The only reason.
That's right. Yeah, I don't think Wii Play in and of itself was anything special. Like, let me just say
it was horrible.
Whereas Wii Sports was. Wii Sports, did you know that they took the original NES golf courses and recreated them? Basically, what Wii Sports was a signal to old school gamer wonks like me that this was a return to the NES era simplicity. We're going back to our roots. And so so excited.
Yeah. So back what we were talking about too with Mario.
Mm-hmm.
One, I mean, I'm going to give you that just because, like, it was the built-in game with the system. That's what everybody bought it for. For your sake and my sake, I'm ignoring 2 USA. Only because, did it have an impact? Maybe, but that's not a Mario game. Like, Mario 2 USA, it's not a Mario game.
It actually is. Well, no, it's not a debate. It actually is. So I'm gonna blow your mind here. So,
oh god,
the story is that it's Doki Doki Panic reskinned. But that's only a half truth. That's only a half truth. Because the actual Mario game, and I'll send you an article later, I'll dig it out of my facts archive. But the game was actually it was the original premise of Mario 2 that Miyamoto looked at it and said he didn't care for it. And then the game got converted to Doki Doki Panic. And then when they got worried about the real Super Mario Brothers 2, because it's too hard, they reskinned it back into a Mario game. It was the original concept for Mario 2 in Japan. It was.
My issue is, Lost Levels, by the way, we can forget that. Like,
that game was trash. Sorry.
That game sucks. Even the All-Stars version, it's just bad.
Like, the All-Stars version is the only reason it's even playable, because of the save states.
And even then, it's kind of bad. So, but the thing is,
it's not good, which I love Mario Brothers 2. And keep in mind that Mario Brothers 2 underperformed because there was a cartridge shortage in 1988 in North America due to all the demand.
And the reason why I'm ignoring it too, this might seem kind of a weird one, but again, I think it's valid. It did not sell well compared to the other NES games.
Yeah, but
it actually did not.
But there was neither did Zelda 2, and those are both due to a cartridge shortage more than anything else. I can show you videos. John Stossel did a report back in 1988 called Mario Mania, that's for Nintendo. It was called. I can show you lines of people lined up around the block to get Zelda 2, and not able to, and some being turned away because they couldn't get a copy because there weren't enough cartridges to manufacture the games.
And I'm not saying nobody wanted to buy it, but if we look at terms of like ratio to system sold, I mean, Sunshine technically beat it in terms of ratio to system sold. I know Sunshine didn't sell as much on the GameCube, but if you factor in how many GameCubes are there, how many copies of Sunshine sold, Sunshine technically sold better. Which
that's sort of, but that's ignoring a lot of macroeconomic conditions. So let's examine that. So Mario Brothers 2 which we want the actual Mario, not the lost levels crap. Mario
So
Brothers USA.
I have it pulled up on my. I have
7
it pulled up
million.
on my end.
Yeah,
Here.
so 7.460 on NES.
I'll give you 7.5.
7.5. Yeah, so let's go 7.5 for sake. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
what was so in 1988? Keep in mind, again, cartridge shortage. So, again, that's impossible to really measure without knowing exactly how many cartridges that they wanted versus what they had. And only Nintendo will have that. Good luck finding that. So, we'll just say that's a non-measurable factor, okay? So, cartridge. So, keep in mind cartridge shortage, okay? So, was there a cartridge shortage for Sunshine? No, there wasn't. So, keep in mind the population global in 1988 was 5.1 billion persons. And what year did Mario Sunshine come out?
2002.
Global population in 2002 was 6.2 billion people. So you added 1 billion people to the planet.
Okay, but are 6 billion people going to buy a GameCube?
No, but it does show you that there's a wider customer base. Now,
what I'm saying though is, like, if you were to compare how many NESs were in, like, out in the wild in terms of NESs sold in like 1988 compared to GameCubes in 2002. That's the kind of point I'm getting at here.
Yeah. I'm just looking at all factors across the board. So there is a way you can measure what the estimated because you're not going to get an extra billion sales. But so what you would do? So let's take what did it sell again? What did we say we're going to give Mario to?
7.5. I'll give it 7.5.
Okay, 7.5. Okay, so let me get some notes taken here, and I'll kind of show you how we do this. Now this is not a full number because there's yield curves, there's other things you would need to measure, and again, someone's gonna have to fucking pay me to do that. But we'll do a rough guesstimate here. So we have 7.5 for. I don't want the fucking header. Get out of here. Hate Microsoft Word documents. Okay. All right. Get out of the header. I don't want the header. Okay. 7.5 for Mario 2. What did Sunshine sell in 2002?
I'm going to say, I'm rounding it down, just 6.3 million.
6.3. Okay. Well, we don't even have to fucking do a macroeconomic analysis. It outsold it in 1988 with 1 billion less people.
What I am saying, though, is in comparison of regards to how many systems sold.
Oh, that's pathetic,
more people
man. That's pathetic.
Well, what do you want me to say, though? Like, technically, it sold better. I mean, technically, in regards to how many percent of user base, how many people who owned a GameCube bought Sunshine.
Okay, I see. Okay, so you're saying the percentage of GameCube versus percentage of NES.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's what
I'll give you that. Yeah, that.
And
for
like,
sure. I think that's fair.
Yeah, and my thing is like, that's how I relate sales in regards to that. Like, do we talk about?
Yeah, because overall, Mario 2 and an absolutely embarrassing showing. Like, Mario 2, like, because when you do the pop increase, it's going to add probably another 600K. Again, I'm not even going to bother to do it because the only reason you even bother to do that is if Mario Sunshine sold more per capita.
No,
it did. So there's no point even doing that.
I thought I had said two outsold it in terms of raw number, but in regards to like percentage of consoles,
impact on console sales. Yeah, okay, yeah, I get you. Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, the tricky thing is that when I get to Mario 3, that's such a tricky one because it's like, did it sell systems because it was Mario 3, or did it just sell crazily because everybody wanted like another what they thought of Mario?
Yeah, Mario 3 was a genuine phenomenon. There's a movie based on that fucking game. And that game, you saw NES's moving, and it actually outsold the SNES briefly during that Mario 3 mania.
I could believe that. And
Mario, so it definitely had a system sell impact. I'm still shocked that game only sold 18 million. It's so much better than that. But again, keep in mind, if you adjust that macroeconomically, you're adding like 3 million to that baby. Like, it's crazy. And then that's not even counting the stuff that's unmeasurable. The fact that half the world was cut off. For example, by the way, the GameCube didn't even have this. You got to remember that for GameCube too. GameCube itself, to just show you about how we're still having emerging markets. The GameCube didn't even have access to the Chinese market. There was a console ban at that time. So it didn't even have the Chinese market. Now, the NES didn't have the Chinese market, didn't have the Russian market, and didn't have most of the Eastern European market. So that's another factor. Is the other thing you have to remember is the NES was a cold market. Now, that's more of an argument for the original Mario than Mario Brothers 3. At that point, it was established, but nobody knew what the fuck a Mario Brother was when the NES first started. So they had to literally build their entire audience from scratch.
And most people didn't even know what Nintendo was, if we're being
Exactly.
honest.
So that whole thing had to be built up, and so that's GameCube did not have that disadvantage. GameCube. Now let's look at some factors that are in favor of the GameCube and Mario Sunshine. Competition. Its competition was the goddamn DVD player. Good.
Okay. That being said, though, I would say competition point favors GameCube in the sense of
it 100% does.
NES was not going against anything, if we're being honest.
It had no real competition, not in North America, which was the main market.
If you want to count the Sega Master System because you're petty, you can do
that.
In
Europe, yes, but again, keep the European market at that time. We're in a Cold War. It's slow going over there.
I know you had the Sega Genesis in the 90s, but even then, compared to like Nintendo, it was competition, kinda.
It wasn't kind of. They Sonic the Hedgehog outsold Mario World. They ate its lunch until Donkey Kong Country came along. But it wasn't the DVD player in the GameCube had to deal with. It was nowhere near.
And I think in terms of why 3D Mario over its history, if I could argue any main talking points as to why hasn't this like franchise been like a main motivating factor in regards to like 2D Mario throughout history, it's the competition. Just because Mario 64, right?
PlayStation.
If you think you had original PlayStation, I love Mario 64, by the way. But like, if you think it's crusty, that's fair. It's good. But like, it's still Mario 64 sold amazingly. If you look at like in regards to how many N64 sold versus how many copies of Mario 64 sold, it sold amazingly. In regards to like 11 million.
You got to look at its competition too.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, competition. PlayStation 1 sold 100 million copies. Everybody was on PlayStation 1 at that time.
And then GameCube generation, not only do you have PS2, you also have the Xbox.
Yeah, but the Xbox should not have beat the GameCube. That was such an embarrassment for Nintendo. That was an emerging newcomer. That was a
even then though. I think just the overall hype allowed it to propel forward. Although looking at it now,
and Halo.
If you were to look at if you look at the PS2 generation back nowadays, I'm willing to bet most people would say they most fondly remember the GameCube. Which is weird.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. The GameCube love is crazy. Like you don't know how many times I've got like my face punched in on Twitter whenever I'm critical of it. It's so funny. Like they come at me, bro.
You look at it, the first two Pikmin games, you got Luigi's Mansion. I hate Sunshine, but I mean, it had Sunshine. It had two Zelda games. It had Pokemon XD, if you want to count that. Had F-Zero GX. If you didn't like Star Fox Adventures, which I don't blame you, they had Star Fox Assault. You know, like you had almost every single mainline franchise that you could possibly think of.
Yeah, I was recently made aware of Star Fox Assault in one of these Liquored Up Live. Someone's like, "Yeah, but Sue, they had your Star Fox game. You just didn't know about it because you'd already checked out." And that's fair. Yeah, it was there though. Mm-hmm. Can confirm it was there.
But then on top of that too, you also had like original IPs like Custom Robo. You had Chibi Robo. You had so much stuff.
Eternal Darkness, which is I still want to fucking please bring that to Switch. I want to play Eternal Darkness.
I don't know if they ever will.
It's kind of a weird game. I'm just a horror fan, so I really want to play that one.
So long as this is going to seem like a weird comparison, but so long as they have Bayonetta, I just don't know.
Oh, is Bayonetta comparable?
It's got some horror elements to it, I guess.
With the angels and demons and how bizarre they are and shit. Yeah.
It's just an outlandish game. Like I do like though how Eternal Darkness purposely fucked with you. Like that was fun.
I heard it was really cool. Yeah.
There was like one sequence in the game where it took you to the GameCube error screen in the middle of the game, and then it cut away from that. It's like, what the hell? Like, what are we doing here? But no, I mean, GameCube, it's tricky. And then when you get to the Wii and Wii U, look, I'm just going to completely ignore the Wii U if that's fair, just
But
because
everybody else did. Everybody else did.
nobody else bought it.
Yeah,
The reason
it's what everybody ignores that fucking thing.
The reason why, though, you had more people buying that 2D New Super Mario Bros. Wii in comparison to Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2, I will stand by and say I think both Galaxy games. Actually, I'll say Galaxy 2 is better than Wii. Galaxy 1 is kind of anime because I don't know what it's trying to be. But that being said, the main reason why that game did better,
it was
in my
trying
opinion,
it was trying to be Wii. I can tell you what it was trying to be. That's why it went more linear.
Well, I did like that Galaxy 2 just went full blown linear because I mean it made sense. It was a lot more clear than Galaxy. But my thing is the main reason why I think New Super did well on the Wii and not Galaxy 1 or 2 is just because of the install base of the Wii. The Wii was more easy gaming type of casual audience.
Oh, it brought us, yeah. It brought, and also it brought in a lot of return gamers. It brought in the people who were alienated by the 3D direction of gaming. And those people,
and
that's what I'm saying. Those people all jumped in hard for Wii. They jumped in hard.
And by the way, am I saying you're not a hardcore gamer if you like the Wii? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is
I hate those terms. I use and again, I know what people are trying to communicate, but so I always use upstream and downstream just because those are like the market terms that Nintendo uses. So a downstream customer is an established gamer who is looking for novel experiences or more complex experiences, where an upstream user is a newer or emerging customer that may eventually become a downstream. And Nintendo's goal ultimately is to move upstream customers downstream, essentially.
The problem was, though, is that I'd say with the Wii, it wasn't successful. Like, I would argue that.
I would agree with that. I think the Wii had a great gateway game with Wii Sports. It had a great onboarding game with Wii Sports. It had a great tier 2 software, which is Keep Me Playing with Wii, and then it really, really shit the bed with the next pipeline to that, which is the now Solidify Me. Galaxy 2 didn't do it. Skyward Sword didn't fucking do it. Metroid Other Rim didn't do it. And those were the games that were supposed to do it. And that's when I got off board because now it's clear to me, hey, Nintendo doesn't care about recapturing what made all these franchises great. Nintendo only wants to move the upstream downstream, and they will fail for that reason. They had nothing beyond wanting to move those customers forward.
And the moments that mobile gaming became viable, they were gone. Like the moment they could play little games on their phones, they're done.
But that doesn't explain the Switch, man. Switch has been successful despite that mobile gaming audience only growing bigger.
The thing is, though, is that I don't think the Switch is for a casual audience. Like, I don't think it is. I think it's for a gaming audience.
Well, it's for everybody.
And the thing
and that's why it succeeded. The Wii was only for that casual audience, and it failed to onboard them. Whereas,
and that's what I'm trying to get.
Succeeded. I would argue that a game like Breath of the Wild onboarded so many fucking people. There were so many people that I talked to that got into gaming because of that game, despite its complexities.
Can we talk about how Nintendo perfectly followed up Breath of the Wild in the sense of here you have a perfect game for gamers, I'd say. Like Breath of the Wild is a gamer's game. We can agree on that.
But also casuals bought inexplicably, by the way.
No. You want to know why the casuals bought it? Is because a month later they followed it up with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
They did. That's true. Oh my God, what a 1-2 punch! Holy, you're right. That was the game. That was the onboard.
No, that game was basically, if you're a gamer, get over here. If you're a casual, get over here. And guess what? When Mario Odyssey comes out in October, we got something for both of you.
And Mario Odyssey, and there's the key. They finally fucking did it with Mario Odyssey. They've been trying to do it for 20 years.
Well, the funny thing is, they actually did it. They did it a generation before, and nobody realized it until after the fact. In the 3DS, that system was not selling well. They put a 2D Mario on it. It was fine. I don't know how many people talk about New Super Mario Bros. 2 in 2024, if that's fair.
Oh, that game
sold 13 million copies.
Yeah, that game's trash, though. Oh, that game was such a fucking. Oh my God! I remember I didn't even get that game. Because I looked at that and
Okay.
I said, you guys don't care, do you? You guys really don't care about 2D Mario.
Which,
You really don't.
looking at the statistics, it actually upsets me now looking at these statistics. The main reason why people bought a 3DS was for 2 games: Mario Kart 7 and Super Mario 3D Land. Is that an unfair statement? Because
I don't know as much about the 3DS. I've not studied the 3DS like I've studied the consoles, but it sounds right because I remember being extraordinarily hostile to 3D Land when it was first announced because I saw this as, again, you can look at Miyamoto's Iwata Ass interview. This guy has been hostile to 2D Mario for decades. His only obsession, he has a sick 3D obsession, and he just wants to move those 2D Mario fans to 3D Mario. And I saw 3D Land as the bridge that they were trying to build to get rid of 2D Mario forever. Now that has since been bullshit. That didn't happen.
Mhm.
They continued to make the 2D
Yeah.
games, so my fear was alleviated. And without that bitterness, I haven't played 3D Land, but I did play 3D World, and I think it's a damn fine game.
Okay, I'm actually now upset though looking at these sales numbers. Like, I'm actually kind of pissed off.
I tell you.
Okay, how does New Super Mario Bros. 2 sell 13.4 million copies, and then 3D Land sells 12.86 million? What the hell? What the hell?
Because people, the larger audience does not like 3D Mario until Odyssey. It was Odyssey that finally got him. Now make another 3D.
Mario 2.
It sucks.
Yeah,
It's
Mario
terrible.
2 sucks.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it is an atrocity that that game honestly should have died sales wise. But it didn't because, again, a starved audience will buy anything. Although at that point you could argue 2D Mario fans weren't starved at that point. But 2D Mario fans needed to do their fucking job and kill that game because it told Nintendo that you can put forward lazy, half-ass piece of shit's efforts. And by the way, we didn't buy you on the Wii U, and that sent a message, and that's how we got Wonder, which was a little bit more of a try.
Ironically, though, you sold 5.82 million. 3D World only sold 5.88 million on Wii U.
Yeah,
so I mean,
yeah, almost the same.
But 3D World did beat it, and I know 60,000 doesn't sound like that. 60,000 doesn't.
Take what you can, brother. Take what you can.
60,000 doesn't sound like that much, but on Wii U that was a lot.
Yeah, but now look at Wonder, who literally in like a couple months has already passed 3D World Deluxe with Bowser's Fury. So
the fact that Wonder has not beat out U Deluxe is a disgrace.
It is.
I don't know what people...
It is, and I can tell you a little bit about why. I think if you go and you look at a video of a Bullet Bill in Mario 3 or Mario World, now go look up a Bullet Bill firing in Mario Wonder. It's about 2.5 times slower. The game is piss easy. The game is not scary at all. I do love the Flower Kingdom. It did bring back one of the things that was important to 2D Mario that 3D Mario has honestly always done very well, and that's world building out the mushroom world and the accompanying worlds around it.
I did not mind the slower gameplay. If anything, that allowed for me to digest the worlds better.
That's
and they could be more concise.
Yeah,
and they were more concise with their level design. I thought that the new series recycled everything on every game. It was just like, oh my god,
they were lazy, half-assed efforts.
So at least Wonder was doing something different, even if you didn't like it. The only part of Wonder I did not like was making Yoshi easy mode. That was the only part I did not like.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would have done something more interesting with Yoshi for sure. I wish the difficulty would have ramped up a little bit more naturally. Like by the time you get to World 8 in Mario 3, by the time you get to World 6 in Mario 3, it's starting to really ramp up. And I wish we had that element. I think that's missing. I think that players, I think they bought the myth that, casual gamers don't increase in skill as they play. That's not the case. We all beat Mario 3. Nearly everybody beat Mario 3 that played it. It's got a great finish rate. Same thing would happen with Wonder. In fact, it's vital to give those new gamers a challenge to move them up the pipeline to downstream gaming. It's vital. That didn't happen with Wonder.
Yeah, and I mean, Wonder's still a good game. I do want to say that
it's a good game, and it'll have legs. But I did expect more sales at the output. I didn't expect it. Same with Tears of the Kingdom, though. Got to tell you, Tears of the Kingdom hit that same brick wall. And
I
I've
expected
got
Tears of the I did expect Tears of the Kingdom to hit a brick wall like that. I did.
Yeah, I did too, because again, it's a lot of when I saw it if you've seen me in OJ's chat and my chats with OJ, kind of laid out why, and I turned out to be kind of correct in that, which is that I feel like the elements they added complicated things for people, that were kind of like people like me are just coming back. We just want to stick swords and shit. We want to explore a beautiful world, a beautiful, dangerous world. That's what we want to do in Zelda. I don't want to spend time in menu fusing pieces of shit together. I don't want to spend time putting every arrow together before I fire it. I don't want to be doing this stuff. I want to be in the world, and I don't want to be building a giant titty dildo robot. I want to be in the fucking world. I want to be
I
killing Ganon's monsters, and I can't do that because your systems are in the way.
OJ might actually roast me for saying this. I actually dropped that game last year.
Yep,
Like
I did too. I've dropped it twice now.
But like when playing it, I think it's an excellent game. I would put it top 5 Switch games for me.
It's good.
It just overwhelms me.
There's too much
That's
to
my
do.
only.
That's the other thing. There's too much to do. When you get into that first town, you get hit with like 20 quests. It's the same thing. Like people who like, why does Skyrim succeed versus mod? Like if you mod Skyrim out, by the time you get out of like the first town, if you add in all your quest mods and shit, you've got like 50 fucking quests, and people drop it. And it's because you've added so much complexity, it overwhelms. It's the same thing. You ever been to a restaurant, right? And the menu's got 100 items on it. You don't know what to order because there's 100 goddamn menu items.
Well, it's like you go to like a Mexican restaurant and they sell like pizza. It's like what? Like,
That's that's scary. There, it's like
Like what? And it's not as bad, but like
yeah, because any restaurant that does that, you're almost like, okay, this is
now
just gonna
the thing is though, I can't be intellectually dishonest. I will say it is easily a top 5 Switch game in my opinion, just in terms of how it's built and like the content in it. But like, this is gonna seem controversial. I'd probably rank it at number 4 for me.
Okay.
Like I would put Breath of the Wild above it.
Oh God, yes.
I'd put Mario Odyssey above it.
Yeah,
because that Mario Odyssey is just so good.
It is. It's really good. And this is from a 3D
Mario
hater. It's from a 3D hater. I love that game.
Mario Odyssey is basically like comfort food. It's like, am I going to eat it all the time? No, but when I'm going to eat it, it is so freaking good.
And the kingdoms, again, the expansion, you get to see more of the world. The kingdoms are interesting. Bowser seems like an actual threat. He's on the attack again.
And people actually hate the game for this. I love how they don't fixate on one thing for too long.
No. Every world has its own internal problem that you're there to solve as the hero. It goes back to what made Mario great.
But like introducing Yoshi at the end of the game, it's like they just introduce him. He's done. Like then you just do with Yoshi what you do with Yoshi. I mean, they didn't overthink it, which I'm glad they did.
It was really cool. Again, spoilers, guys, but honestly, if you haven't fucking played it by now, what are you doing on my channel?
And then my controversial game I would put over Tears of the Kingdom. It's not Pikmin 4. It's Luigi's Mansion 3.
I reviewed Luigi's Mansion 3 for my channel. I really, really like that game too.
Even the problems with it, I did not think there was a problem with that game.
So here's what I love about Nintendo's output in this era, and I'll even give the Wii U a nod because Captain Toad's technically a Wii U game, is they're starting to give all of these Mario Legacy characters their own gameplay identity. So Luigi is now like their kind of haunted house adventure game. They gave Luigi, that happened in the GameCube, but it really came into its own with this hotel with its 30 floors, and each floor is like a unique experience, and these boss ghosts that are so much fun to. It's so good. It's just so good. It's such a good game. It is literally the concept of a haunted house in Nintendo game format, and I love it for that.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. What I love about Captain Toad, they literally took that Mario Brothers 2, and it's as close to Mario Brothers 2 as we'll ever get. They took the actual character. Now, if you remember the character Toad from Mario 2, Toad was the strongest. He could throw stuff the farthest, but he couldn't jump. With his backpack on, he can't jump, but he can throw turnips. and then the entire game is tinged with the Arabian Nights elements that that game was based upon. So you have you have the whole concept from Doki Doki Panic coming back with the Arabian Nights. You've got the throwing of the turnips. You've got Toad who can't jump. And they took that and they're like, okay, what do we do with these elements to make this into its own, to give Toad his own gameplay identity? And we got these wonderful diorama puzzle games. It's really, really fucking neat. And now they've sort of done it with Peach, but I feel like they're still throwing shit against the wall, seeing what sticks with Peach, because there's like a million gameplay.
That new Peach game looked mid. That new Peach game looked mid.
I haven't played it yet. We know Party
I am
Man is
not.
happy if Party Man's listening. We know.
Yeah. Party Man, you heard it here first. That game's mid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't got an opportunity to play too much of it yet. There's just so much to play. But yeah, I feel like it. I feel like there's like 12 or 15 games that are in there, and anytime I see that, it's like that Mexican menu we talked about, where it's like, okay, you have all this different stuff. You do cheeseburgers and Sanchos and tacos and fajitas and pizza, but do you do any of this well? That's going to be my concern going into Princess Peach Showtime.
What I think they're trying to build towards, and I know you're a business person, this is my Nintendo roadmap 20 years down the road. Obviously, Mario's their cash cow. I don't think we need to get too far into that. I think we all know. I think they honestly want to make Mario the franchise on like a Disney type of level. And in doing so, how do you sell the characters? You make their own game series. You give them their own set pieces.
Yeah.
Like you got a Peach game. And you even saw it with Daisy being included in Mario Wonder 2. Now, here's the question I do want to ask like Nintendo fans too.
Okay.
When's the new Wario Land game coming out?
Yes, please bring Wario back. Now, what Nintendo will tell you is Wario has this game series, and it's that fucking WarioWare shit. That's what they'll tell you.
No, I don't. WarioWare, it's a fun little novelty, but I don't associate it with Mario.
It's not an acceptable answer. Yep.
But like WarioWare, Wario Land, excuse me. And then on top of that too, Nintendo, you have an opportunity here to throw in a bunch of characters into these games. Like the next Princess Peach game, because she'll probably get another one. I don't think that's controversial to say.
No. And they'll probably have it'll be more refined next time, I'm sure too.
But like, who's to say they won't have multiplayer with like Daisy and Rosalina or something? You know what I mean? Like they're trying to think of ways they can throw these characters out there in different formats. I mean, they're starting to do it with Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong Country. They're starting to promote it a little bit more now. And you saw that in the movie. They're trying to make all these toys. They're trying to make all these sorts of collectible stuff. And in doing so, you need to make a bunch of games. And when you make a bunch of games, then you sell the character to people and they become more common. And then that's where you get your origins from. But that's just my theory.
Well, it definitely falls into that. It's that cybernetic theory that a lot of businesses are embracing these days. Look at Nintendo with their theme parks. They look at how many ways they can leverage these characters, getting more and more of an identity as well. You got the theme parks, you got the toys that you just mentioned, all the merch. You've got the movies, and you've got the expanded universe there. You know what I'm waiting for. You know what shoe I'm really waiting to drop is an actual fucking Pokemon theme park. That's what I'm waiting on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting on like a Kanto themed. Like you could literally walk around Pallet Town or walk around Viridian City, and there's Pokemon. I don't know what it would take. It'd probably take a lot more advanced robotics than we have now. But I am waiting for that Pokemon park that literally emulates one of the regions, Johto or Kanto or
oh my god. And this kind of like this and like the three main franchises that you brought out before, Mario, Zelda, and Metroid. Mm-hmm. I would reclassify it a little bit because I would actually probably put Metroid under the same vein as like Zelda. Single player action adventure.
A big doesn't have to be big adventure game.
Doesn't have to be the same setting, but like just kind of encapsulates the player exploring a unique world, doing unique things. Mm-hmm. Then You got the second tentpole.
Alien to it's Metroid is alien to Zelda's Sword of the Stone / Sleeping Beauty / Lord of the Rings.
Which, by the way, people are like mentioning, I think Nintendo Direct in chat too.
Oh yeah,
But
we're gonna
that
get to the
goes like-
chats definitely.
No, but then on top of that too, when you look at it, Star Fox, F-Zero, you know, like all these different
Star
types
Wars,
of games,
yep.
which by the way, I think you'll probably see some of those games at the next Direct.
Yeah, Mario is their take on Alice in Wonderland. All of these games come from very well, not just Alice in Wonderland, but literary nonsense in general. Jack and the Beanstalk, Arabian Nights,
Well, and I don't.
Gulliver's Travels with Mario Brothers 3, going to the different lands.
What I mean with those super uncommon IPs that get releases like Star Fox, F-Zero, I don't want to sit here and guarantee and say that all these games for sure are going to happen. But if I were to ask anybody one thing, when is the best time to release these IPs?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say right now, because you got a new generation coming up. All you have to do is release a port of a GameCube game, maybe HDify it a little bit.
Well, Rush Dog's been saying that, and Rush Dog's in the chat right now. What's going on, Rush? Rush Dog has been saying for a long time that there literally is the best F-Zero game just sitting on the GameCube, just being useless right now.
GX is not only the best, GX is arguably a top 3 racing game of all time.
Man, and you guys are hyping that up for me.
I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Like, if you look up the Metacritic, I think the Metacritic for that game is like a 94.
Well, was it Treasure that did that game?
No, it was a Sega studio.
Sega studio, okay.
I don't remember who it was made by, but it was made by a Sega studio. I don't think it was Kamiya. I don't think it was.
I know it had some real talent behind it when I did. It's been forever ago. But when Rush first mentioned it to me, I went and researched it, and it got some fucking talent behind it.
No, it's that Sega studio that did it. Oh, my God. But, like, all they have to do is, like, if you have Star Fox Assault, if you have F-Zero GX, if you release these games, and let's say they are sleeper hits on Switch, what's stopping from Nintendo saying, hey, we got some momentum here. Let's make a new game for Switch too, and just see what happens with that. You know, like there's no better time for Nintendo right now to take those single player action adventure games right now, because I mean, you're waiting for a new gen.
Well, and
might as well.
I'll tell you, man.
You have it.
Yeah, especially with the Switch effect being what it is, I would like to see another F-Zero. I'd like to see another Star Fox. Okay. And I would also like to see Earthbound again. So give Mother a chance. Now, that one's got a lot of legal perils. But I would, and you can't do it without Shigesaki Itoi. If Shigesaki Itoi is not willing to come back, they can't do Mother. But I feel like now Mother might actually sell. And of course, that could just be the fan in me. It could be that blinding my business acumen.
No, if they remade Earthbound 2 or Mother 3, whatever you want to call it, on Switch, that game would sell probably 3-4 million copies.
Okay.
I'm not exaggerating.
They've hyped that up in fucking Smash Brothers forever, man.
Well, I'm not. I think 3 million copies for that game would be an immense success. And the main thing is just like the Switch is the RPG system, is it not? I mean, like, look at all these.
This gen it is.
I don't like all these RPGs, but we got so many good RPGs on Switch. Like, if you want the best Mario RPGs, they're on Switch. That's not. If you like Bowser's Inside Story, great. You have a remake of Super Mario RPG. And a remake of
the best games.
You have a remake of the 1,000-Year Door and RPG on one system. I could go without Bowser's Inside Story. I could go without it.
Sure.
But
well, that's the thing too. Like the Nintendo Switch, you talk about the Switch effect. There's a lot of reasons for that. But one of the biggest things I feel like Nintendo has done really well this generation that they failed at miserably a lot of the time is curation. So they've got great first-party novel output. But then on top of that, they're bringing out classic collections. They're bringing out, because people forget about that. People are like, well, all these fucking ports and remakes. Like, hey,
there's not.
Yeah, guess what? Hey, jackass. First and foremost, a lot of the people that are coming into Switch, because of the sheer numbers, you can tell they have skipped a generation or two. People like me, these are brand new games. These are all brand new games. But the 1,000-Year Door might as well be a brand new game to me. But second of
all,
the
Wii, yeah.
Second of all, and the most important, is the fact that this system has a unique value proposition. And that's what all these hardcore jackasses miss. Oh, fucking port. Got more ports, huh? Yeah, guess what? You can play these ports in a stable frame rate on the go. It's the on the go aspect.
That's we might when we eventually get into the Switch effect, because I'm going to probably finish my point here real quick.
Yeah.
When we get into it, dude, the Switch is the greatest system ever made, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that.
I will completely agree.
So
at this point,
I mentioned my first comment of action adventure games. So Zelda, Metroid, F-Zero, Star Fox, that category. Yeah. If you want to count Splatoon, you can.
Splatoon is a big impact. It's a big player at this point for sure, and it does something unique that no other games really do for Nintendo.
So then, secondly, this is my second category of games, and you might actually disagree with this one. Not in terms of sales, but like in terms of like, is it a big player? Is it not? I'd say the second most important franchise, not Mario. Obviously, Mario's the third. That's pretty obvious. Animal Crossing.
It's hard to disagree with. That's very hard to disagree with. Animal Crossing has been, it was huge on GameCube and on Switch. It just, oh my God.
Okay, I don't really like New Horizons all that much. In the sense of I played it to death when it came out during that time period. I'm not. But like that being said, the main difference between Animal Crossing and the other two categories is it's a cozy game. It's not meant to be stressful. You're just meant to play it and have fun. Like it's I don't want to say it's a sandbox, but it's basically just a feel good game.
It is kind of Nintendo's cozy game, isn't it?
And I don't feel like enough companies make enough cozy games anymore.
Not big first party ones. They've almost entirely ceded that market to the indie scene.
The only game in terms of a major IP that I can think of does something similar is The Sims, and even then, like I don't know if I'd say that. It's interesting in the sense of I would say Animal Crossing in terms of impact, and it's inspired. That's the tricky thing where I don't think Splatoon fits in with Zelda per se, but I don't think it fits in with Animal Crossing. I don't know where to put it. It's tricky. My third category is Mario, in the sense of it combines the best of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is you have action adventure, but then you also have cozy fun games like Mario Kart. There's not a lot of stress to Mario, but at the same time there is. It's like those are my three categories.
So I was talking to my friend V. Yeah, I think those are perfectly serviceable. I think they describe a very a different set of big three, but I think it's viable for sure. And I was talking to my friend V, and my friend V actually made the point because I was talking about this exact thing, like the Mario market, essentially, like 3D versus 2D. And V mentioned Mario Kart, and she's like, "So you're saying that Mario is defined by 2D because 2D sells better, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I that's how I want it to be." She's like, "Yeah, but sorry to blow you the fuck out, but if we're gonna define Mario by sales, wouldn't Mario be a kart racer?" I have no answer to that. I have no answer to that except, yeah.
If it was pre-DS, I disagree, but I can't anymore.
Not even fuck. Like, yeah, it's a monster. I mean, so yeah, I guess at least nowadays he would be a kart racer nowadays. Yeah. But I still like 2D. I still like 2D. I just wanted to make a fucking 2D game. All I'm asking for, TH3, is to give 2D the same level of care that they give Odyssey. Give it instead of the ba-ba music, give it the orchestral soundtrack. Give it that attention to care and watch what the 2D game would do.
Here's the problem though with like 2D and 3D though, in the sense of like, you may not, like, you probably realize this, but 2D, I would say across the board, minus maybe Mario 2 USA, plays similar to the exact same. 3D Mario does not.
Well, and that's why the developers fucking hate 2D Mario. There's an old interview with Miyamoto where he literally says, they ask him about This is after Mario World. They asked him to a follow-up to Mario World, and you remember what what Miyamoto's follow-up to Mario World was? It was that fucking Yoshi's game, and we didn't get it. And the reason he said that is he said, "I've made that game before. I don't want to make that game again." And you also have the developers talking about how hellish 2D Mario games were to develop. Apparently, it was pure hell because the physics had to be just right. And it was basically just repetition of level across level across level with having to have those physics pitch perfect. And you don't have to do that in 3D. You just don't. You can be creative. There's more things you can make Mario do to get moons. It's like playtime for the developers, whereas 2D Mario is actual fucking work. Not to undermine the work they do in 3. I'm sure making a game is hard no matter what, but 2D Mario is much harder to make and it's much less creative freedom. And so that's why they don't want to make it.
The problem is though with 2D Mario is just you cannot stray off the path of 2D Mario what it's done before, because like you would be alienated the fan base at that point. And that's the tricky part in regards to that. It's just I can't really sit here and say, like, when you look at 3D Mario, you have two different styles of 3D Mario. You have the Crash Bandicoot 3D Mario, whether it's the Galaxy games, the 3D games, so 3D Land, 3D World, or you have what I call the Banjo games, which are Sunshine, 64,
right,
and Odyssey.
Yeah, they've kind of got the more linear versus the hub world. And by the way, it's clear that the 3D fan base, because it's funny, when I did my 3D World review, one of the things I ran up to is I was looking at the reception, and it seems like both camps, like the rabid camps, like I actually like 3D World, but your rabid 3D fans and your rabid 2D fans both hated the shit out of that game, it seemed like, because one said it was not the hub open 3D game, and the other said it's not the pitch perfect 2D precision platforming that they like. So it's kind of a bridge that no one wanted, but I feel like it has its own customers that it could get.
It was also the new fatigue at the time of
like it was that same aesthetic, wasn't it? Yeah.
and here's the thing: I love 3D World. I would probably say it's one of my favorite games of all time.
And the circus stuff, like it did give you the circus element. There was new stuff, the trains and the cars and the tanks.
When that first trailer at E3 dropped, there was not. Like it just looked like a similar new Super Mario type of game, just in a slightly different world with a cat suit, which whatever. Like obviously it's a good game. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not.
And here was my biggest critique of 3D World, just as a quick aside. Biggest critique of 3D World is, and I often stress this, especially so the world coherency is important. It's one of the reasons why a lot of the 3D level design I don't like is it feels to me like you're in Bowser's Ninja Warrior course, right? That's what it feels like to me. You're just these floating in the void levels. Now, what I liked about Mario 64 is it actually expanded on the Mushroom Kingdom by giving us a really in-depth Peach's Castle. Even Sunshine had Isle Delfino. Mario Galaxy, that's where it kind of started with me. It's okay, you're just platforming in the void. And 3D World has that feeling to me. So a good example is in World 3, that's an ice level, right? Traditionally, that's an ice level. But yet you're in an African savanna all of a sudden. Now you're in a savanna level in the middle of an ice level. There's no world coherency. They took the concept of the Sprixies, which were Fifanellas, which are female gremlins, or kind of a Nintendo take on Fifanellas. Very interesting concept. You've got these gremlins who are good at, unlike gremlins who destroy mechanicals, Sprixies or Fifanellas are good at building mechanical things up. So this would have been the perfect place to put like a factory level or a something of that nature. And they just, aside from the circus levels, they blew it. It feels like.
My problem is too, what you mentioned started in World 3. That's about 2 hours into the game.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is like when it comes to these 3D games, the reason why I'd say Odyssey is the best Mario game of all time is because it's unpredictable. That like when you play Mario, if there's one experience I can get back in my lifetime, it's playing Mario Odyssey for the first time. And I'm being serious when saying
it's genuinely good. And keep in mind, it's also the Z. Anytime you introduce a Z-axis into gaming, it's gonna feel off compared to that picture perfect 2D platforming. Odyssey is the first 3D platformer I ever played.
It's perfect.
I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it at all.
In Mario Odyssey, if you cannot control Mario, you are just bad at the game. Like I know that sounds like an exaggeration,
It's
but I
not.
do seriously think
It's really not. It's the first time I didn't have to think about the camera and the Z-axis being a pain in my asshole.
But then think about it. At the start of the game, there's this crazy battle at Bowser, like in Bowser's ship.
He wins.
Next thing you know, you're in some random hat world.
Yes,
which
and
is
he
just
wins, and that's important.
But then you get to the Cascade Kingdom, which is a dinosaur world, and you capture a T-Rex, and it's just pure crazy. It's like there's no
that T-Rex was a fucking trip, bro. That was awesome.
There's no, what made Mario Odyssey great is there's no consistency, and what I mean by that is you can't predict what's going to happen next. You can just kind of sit here and say, "I think this might happen," but you didn't know. And I'm telling you right now, when you got to the Castle Kingdom or Ruin Kingdom, excuse me, and you fought the freaking
Dark Souls
Elder Scrolls,
in the middle of my Mario.
the dragon, I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah,
but it was the great.
Or who the fuck expected like a Shogun's castle in Bowser Kingdom, or the Food King, the weird food kingdom where it's like a food volcano. It's so interesting. And by the way, that's the kind of literary nonsense shit you would find in an Alice in Wonderland novel. It was inspired. It was on point. The controls were good. It was just perfect. It really was.
Actually, looking back on it, I did not realize this now. I think Mario Wonder just tried to outdo Odyssey in terms of WTF moments. And it just
it was, but Wonder was a try hard.
It was, but like when you play Mario Odyssey, it's like you got to the the Desert Kingdom or whatever it was called. I can't remember, with like those little like Hispanic like skeleton creatures and whatnot.
Right.
You get there, but the desert's frozen, and it's just like what, like.
Well, and then that world evolves over time. That's what was so cool about some of these kingdoms is the way they change as you get further into the level, they change.
Mm-hmm.
And they change in a very natural way, which oftentimes the wonder effects were kind of like here's this, just all of a sudden. It felt more natural and it felt more earned in Odyssey, I feel like. And ultimately, that's my biggest problem with Odyssey. Odyssey was a solid game, or not Odyssey, but Wonder. Wonder was a solid game. It's just that I feel like there was a lack of effort in comparison to say in Odyssey. It was clear they pulled out every goddamn stop they could in Odyssey.
And by the way,
left
the reason
nothing on the table for Odyssey. Nothing.
If you want to know why Odyssey, I said it was a perfect event in regards to they had the gamers from Breath of the Wild and a casual audience from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But then on top of that too, Mario Odyssey is what everybody wanted on the Wii U. That game is what everybody needed on the Wii U. That didn't happen.
Yeah, instead they got the half-ass New Super Mario Brothers U, and they got this weird bridge game that nobody really wanted at the time. They wanted they wanted Odyssey. Yeah,
I can sit here and say 3D World's a well-polished game. I think it controls fine. I don't like that there's only 8 directional inputs. That's kind of weird. But like,
it had that little bit of clunkiness that just Odyssey just completely ditched. They cracked the 3D platformer finally with Odyssey. They cracked it wide open.
And I'm not kidding when I say when they make another 3D Mario, I don't care if it's in a Galaxy style. I don't care if it's Odyssey style. It better have Odyssey's controls.
It has to,
because
it has to. It's a big reason for its success, I feel like.
Which is actually why somebody in the comment there said, like, I love Bowser's Fury. Like, or they like Bowser's Fury.
Yeah, it's like an open world version of.
This is going to sound contradictory. I actually did not like it as much.
Okay.
Because I lost some jump control options.
Oh, that's true. And also you got to cart around Bowser Jr.'s stupid ass, and nobody likes Bowser Jr. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was like, imagine Cappy's an interactive character that you don't control, and it's just like, oh man, like it was good. Like it's still. By the way, when I say it was bad, I mean it was like 9 out of 10. So when I say it's bad,
keep in mind when Nintendo games just hit differently. A bad Nintendo game is still, for the most part, gonna be good.
I don't like Battle League, but even then I'd say it's like a 6 or a 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. That's about it. But I mean, I liked Bowser's Fury, but there wasn't a whole lot of substance to really keep me invested like that. Which that's just me. And
I
my
still
biggest issue
haven't
is the
played it, if you
repeat.
can believe it, but I've heard about it.
My biggest issue is the repeated boss battle. That was my only issue with it.
Over and over
Which,
again, my understanding is until you complete the game.
yeah. Which, I mean, hey, that's basically what the 2D games do, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah, 2D games. So boss battles have never been a strong suit in the 2D games, ever. It's one thing, and they kind of half-assed tried with Wonder, except for the last Bowser fight. I actually enjoyed. I thought that was pretty cool. The fight
yeah.
with Bowser, that was good. But in general, I feel like you don't need boss fights in 2D Mario until the very end. I feel like maybe just cap it off with a Bowser fight and be done with it.
I don't actually hate the Koopalings like some people do, in the sense of, like, I mean, at least it's a different attack pattern, even though it's basic.
Yeah, I actually feel like it's not that people hate the Koopalings. It's that, one, I think at this point the Koopalings have too much overexposure. I think that's why they're disliked. Number
They
two,
took lots of
they've got,
Mario Kart.
well, there's the exploit where you just time the jumps and they never do anything to you. They need to give them an invincibility frame in between their modes, and they need more than 3 hits to beat.
But it was like even in Odyssey with the Brutals, like I didn't hate the Brutals like that.
Yeah. And Brutals
But,
aren't
I mean,
bad characters. They're not dog shit characters. Like, if you go back, you've got like things like Bowser Jr. and Petey the Piranha Plant and all these dog shit characters that Nintendo has come up with. I don't feel like the Brutals are bad characters. I just don't.
I thought their attack patterns were extremely interesting in regards to how they attack you.
Yeah,
and
with
I
the
mean,
hats and the ball and chain and shit.
And then the vomit.
Yeah.
The flower hat. I mean, those were fun in my opinion, even though some people might not like them. And the biggest issue is in that game is just there are better bosses elsewhere.
Yeah,
like even
some of the big cat bosses are really cool.
I'm trying to think of all the boss battles in that game.
Well, there was the bird at the top of the food volcano that I just will remember forever. It was amazing. The Pharaoh type boss. There's a lot of good ones.
The robotic Wiggler in New Donk City. That was amazing.
The whole initial Thunderstorm New Donk City like intro, that whole thing. Just that whole segment.
This is also controversial. Of the 3D games, I think Odyssey had the best Bowser fights, even though they were pretty basic, just because I like the style of them.
Yeah, I can see that.
The Flower Machine in the Wooded Kingdom, that was really fun.
Oh gosh, the Wooded Kingdom is such the music in that. I still get that stuck in my head. By the way, the Forest Kingdom's music is so good, and how they paired the forest with like this lost mechanical kingdom. Good shit, just good shit.
It's just pure nostalgia at its finest. It was nostalgia done right. It was just so good.
Yeah, again, this is the 3D Mario hater, but guys, I've made no bones about always liking Odyssey. Odyssey's really good. It just is.
Yeah. That being said, if you want to hate 3D Sonic like you were earlier, I have no issue with you hating that.
Well, 3D Sonic had those crusty ass games, and and by the way, I love there's one. What was it, like the Sonic Forces, where they literally gave this fucking community like their ability to make their own furry.
They can make their OC. So I will preface it by saying when I got my GameCube in like 2002, 2003, I can't even remember what year it was. I got 3 games with it. And that was Mario Kart Double Dash. That's a fun game. I did get the Sonic Mega Collection. That, in my opinion, is arguably the greatest collection game ever made. I don't know if you'd agree or disagree with that, but that collection.
Yeah, I have the only collection of Sonic I have, because again, I skipped a lot of these generations. I do hear that the Sonic Mega Collection is the best version of a lot of those games, and it actually has the good music in Mario and Sonic 3. So that's big.
That and it actually has like the Knuckles pack too, to where you can play Sonic 2 as Knuckles. You can play Sonic 3 in Knuckles. It's just so good. But then I also got, and you might cringe when I say this, I would honestly say this. I'm not proud to say this isn't my top 10 games of all time.
Okay.
But it is. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. That
Sonic
game.
Adventure 2 Battle. See, I've not been able to play any of the Sonic Adventures, but I'd be open to it. Hey, thanks for coming out, Rush Dog. And to just do with your comment real quick, Sonic Generations is a good 3D Sonic game. Full stop. Yes. So before you go, I hope you heard that, Rush.
I'd also say Colors is good as well, but the ports of modern systems ruined it. But like, I mean,
my biggest thing with Sonic isn't necessarily because here's the thing: I played a lot of those crusty ass dog shit 3D games. No, I haven't. I just know them based on reputation. But even with the good 2D games that are coming out, like I did buy the Origins collection when it dropped to $20. Even with its dog shit Sonic 3 music, that's not the Michael Jackson music. I did buy Sonic Mania, which is fantastic. But keep in mind, I bought these online. I didn't walk in a store and buy them. And the reason for that is you are not going to catch me dead buying anything in person Sonic related because of the fucking Sonic fandom. You're just not.
Oh, they suck. As a former Sonic fan myself, I can say
they're
like,
terrifying. It goes beyond suck.
So people in chat might agree, disagree with me on this one.
Right.
In my opinion, Sonic Adventure 2 is the definition of a 7 out of 10 game. Mid. In the sense of, it is mid.
Okay.
However, I love it.
We all have those games. Like I'll give you one that's not even mid. It's just a flat out shit game, and that's Deadly Premonition. But I fucking love it because I'm a Twin Peaks fan.
Oh, but no, like
dog shit game though.
As a kid, as like a little kid, when you get that game for the first time, you play City Escape for the first time after that first cutscene, and that music kicks in. Oh man! And on top of that,
Sonic's always had good music. Always.
City Escape, in my opinion, is the greatest Sonic level ever made, just in terms of set pieces it has.
Okay.
But like
better than Chemical Planet? Damn.
Oh, it's in terms of 3D, I say it's the best. In terms of 2D, we can get into a debate, but it's my favorite. I just love it. I'm trying to think of 2D levels I really like. I do like Sonic 3's Ice Cap Zone for the music.
Well, I do too. They butchered that in the Origins collection.
And then Launch Base Zone for the level design and the music was god tier.
Oh god, another music. I wouldn't say they butchered it, but it's god that original Launch Base music is such like you could feel you're like nearing the end of something in that music.
Go 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 go!
Oh, like, so good. It was so good. I imagine, but I want you to imagine Ice Cap Zone, but instead of like the ethereal, mysterious music that you have, that amazing music, instead you get right off the bat you hear it with da 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 da.
Oh god!
Oh, it's god. I can't. Every time I get to that level in the Origins collection, I turn the volume all the way down. As far as the music volume, keep the sound effects, and I put on Ice Cap Zone here on my computer.
I don't blame you for that. Sonic 3, I would technically say, is the best game in the series, probably, just because of and I'm saying the original release, and I would probably include Knuckles on it too, just in terms of if you want the full game.
But for levels, let's see, I like Marble Garden Zone in Sonic 3. I love.
Is that Sonic 3?
Sonic 3, Marble Garden. No, not Marble Garden. No, Marble Garden is Sonic 1. It's Marble something in Sonic. You know what I'm talking about, though.
I'm going to look up Sonic 3 and Knuckles zones.
So yeah, it's the third zone. Sonic Hydrocity or Hydrocity.
That's the second one. That one's really good.
It's really good and also great music. Sonic 3 Zone 3.
Oh, Marble Garden is Sonic 3. I did not realize that.
Okay, so what is Marble? So what is the Marble Zone from Sonic 1? I'm gonna have to look that up.
That's oh shoot. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think it might just be Marble
Zone. Which is one of the worst levels in Sonic.
That level sucks. It's not as bad as the fourth zone with the water level. That level sucks.
Oh, Labyrinth Zone. Yeah. Sonic 1 had some pretty shitty zones. And keep it in mind what we mean by that, Chet. And I think you and I are coming at this from it's just Marble Zone. It's just Marble Zone.
It sucks. It's just it's
what we mean by it sucks is Sonic is a game that is premised on you keeping your momentum going. That's the whole fun of Sonic. And Labyrinth Zone and Marble Zone in particular are zones that constantly put your momentum to a dead stop.
The other zone that I was thinking of in Sonic 3 and Knuckles that is excellent, Flying Battery.
Flying Battery's awesome. Yep. Like Flying Battery. And in Sonic 1, the real standout zone, aside from Emerald, aside from Green Hills, would be Starlight Zone.
I'd say Spring Yard.
Spring Yard too. Spring Yard's good. Yeah, God, Spring Yard has the music's coming back to me now. Like on all these games, like that's the thing. Like the music in Sonic is so good. Like I can still remember all these themes years and years later.
No, I'm trying to think in regards to like 3D Sonic games. I am actually one of the few people who I don't know if I would defend the 3D games, but I don't hate them. And weirdly enough, I could say enough good things about each one to where I'd say I like them.
I just hate what they feed this fan base. Like I'll never,
laughable.
I'll never forget hearing the original when I first saw that fucking obscene Sonic the Hedgehog before they changed it with its human teeth and shit. That fucking abomination. And then the original plot of that was like Sonic lost his shoes, like his sneakers got taken away from him or something. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like Sega, you have no idea what you are going to unleash from this fan base if you take that hedgehog shoes off. Please.
The funniest thing is that was probably
do that.
That was actually probably the least offensive stuff they did.
I'm just saying, if they showed Sonic the Hedgehog's bare feet, bro.
Also, I do want to say
you don't know what this fan base would have done with it.
Thank God for the recent movie releases, because I actually do think the games have gotten more quality since the movie release.
The movies are good too. Like both those movies were fire.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought Sonic Frontiers was actually a good game.
I haven't played Frontiers yet. I hear good stuff about it though. I hear a lot of people who say it's pretty fun.
Here's the thing. It's a 7 out of 10 game, so don't go in there thinking it's going to like change the world or something. It's not going to.
If you just look at it, Sonic's average though.
But like if you go into it thinking it's going to be a fun little side game, it'll take a little bit to get going. The craziest part is, and I don't want to spoil too much, they brought back the most annoying part of Sonic Adventure, and it was actually fun. Which like that's a compliment from me.
So are you talking about like the Biggs the Cat fishing game? Or I know OJ was talking about. Yeah, I was gonna say like OJ was talking about these shitty ass side characters they focus so much on.
I thought the fishing game was actually pretty fun though.
It might be. I keep in mind I've not played any of these. I'm just going off OJ, and I know OJ hates.
And bear in mind when you were spoon fed bullshit over years, it was just bad. And I played Frontiers on PS5, so it ran better than Switch would have for me.
Yeah, there's some games, and that's the one negative of the Switch, is there are some people that just don't take the time they should, or sometimes it's just not possible. Now, I'm more inclined to think that most ports, when they're bad, are the fault of the dev. And the reason for that is we have Doom 2016 and we've got The Witcher 3, and they're perfectly fine ports. And if those fucking games can be ported, anything can be ported.
Well, my thing is like it's hardware from 2006, 2007.
It is.
But that being said, it was cutting edge for what it was in 2017. I had somebody try to tell me it wasn't. That's bullshit.
Yeah, they're full of shit.
Like that is completely bullshit. Like if you actually sit here and tell me that the Switch was not cutting edge during that time period, you are lying to everybody. But I mean, I would actually say 100% of games ported to Switch or put on Switch are the fault of the devs. And the main reason, like the bad ones at least, and the main reason why I say that is because either they're choosing to be lazy and it's just a dog shit port. I mean, prime example, Sonic Colors Ultimate.
Yeah, or Arc, the Arc port. Which, by the way, that you want to talk about a game that should not exist on the Switch. That game barely runs on top tier high end PCs. That fucking game barely optimized and run.
I don't know how to make
were you going to get the Switch? How the fuck?
How did that series get a TV show?
I don't know. I just know that the game barely runs on PC.
The thing is though, is that the main reason why I say that you got WWE 2K18.
Oh, RGT. Oh god, I'm sure you've seen RGT's roast of that.
But then on top of that too, like my other issue is either you were lazy and you didn't put in the efforts, or let's just be honest here, this game probably shouldn't be on Switch.
There's option 2, like Arc. Yeah.
But like when it comes to games being ported to Switch, there is zero excuse. As in, if you don't think it's good enough to port over, don't. And there's no problem in that. Just wait for like an updated Switch. Like there's no issue with that.
So games that I would like to see curated to the Switch, I'm going to kind of go over those briefly, and then I want to get your input on this. There's still some. I mean, the Switch has basically gotten most of what it needed in terms of curation from past generations. There are a few notable ones that are missing to me. Castlevania Symphony of the Night, the Grand Theft Auto 5, Mass Effect trilogy, Dishonored. I'd like to see Dishonored on the Switch. Are there any? Those are kind of the ones right off the top of my head that I would love to see get ported over before this is all said and done. Are there any ports from the past you'd like to see? Any games that? Oh, Dead Space, fucking Dead Space. The OG Dead Space doesn't even have to be the new remake, just the OG Dead Space. EA is leaving so much goddamn money on the table with those, the Mass Effect, and not putting those in Dishonored. And Jesus Christ, put those fucking games on the Switch. I know you hate Nintendo, EA. I know you do, but come on, man.
Sony, I know you bought them. I know you just put a Lego game on Switch, or you're about to. Get Bungie to put Destiny 2 on Switch.
Okay.
I mean, I don't mind that game. I just feel like it should be on every platform.
Great Wall. If they put Morrowind on the Switch to Great Wall, I will buy 10 copies.
That's fair.
I will buy 10 copies if they put Morrowind on this. But then again, Great Wall, never say never. Never say never, because
also,
we got Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, which was a dream game that I never thought we'd get.
Every single game from this series not named 4 or 76. Why is Fallout not on the Switch?
Fallout, I would love to see, of all of them, if I had to pick, New Vegas. I'm playing it right now. It's a fucking masterpiece.
That part doesn't make sense why those games aren't on Switch. Like that just does not make sense.
Because Skyrim's on Switch.
I don't know.
At least get Fallout. At least get Fallout 4. At least get New Vegas. You can give us New Vegas. Come on.
Or my other thing is, too, give me physical copies of games that you put on Switch, but you had to put on cloud, like Resident Evil.
Yes,
or
good ports of that, or games that didn't get a physical. Give us a physical. So, example, Bulletstorm. I'd love to see Bulletstorm get, or Sinuous Sacrifice, Hellblade 1. I would love to see that.
Give me Final Fantasy VII Remake on it. If you give me Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm good.
Oh, that'd be good. I think we're waiting on the next system for that, but I would love to see it.
Well, and I'm saying with Switch too, it's like I'm at the point now where I don't really care what gets ported to Switch. I wouldn't mind just some like remasters of some old games at this point, because the novelty of the whole this game coming to Switch kind of wore off on me, if that makes sense. I mean, like it's kind of 7 years down the road. I'm still waiting for freaking GTA 5. I don't. Where's that? Like,
well, and I think I can explain GTA 5. I think what it is with that is they're still making plenty of money off of Grand Theft Auto Online, and as long as that cash cow's going, I don't think they see a need to do a port, sadly. So I actually think that's one we're going to miss. I think that's going to be one of the ones that gets away. Just like I think all of EA's trilogy, Mass Effect, Dishonored, and Dead Space, their trilogy of really, really fantastic games. I think they just get away. I think the Switch just never has those.
And before people say the Switch isn't powerful enough, that game runs on Xbox 360.
Yeah,
PS3.
fuck off.
like what's stop with that shit?
Yeah,
like,
fuck off. EA doesn't want to do it because EA has a history that goes back to the NES with Nintendo.
GTA is not EA.
Oh, you're talking about GTA. I thought you were talking about like Mass Effect and all that shit. Yeah, GTA 5 can absolutely run on the Switch. That's just that they don't want to put in the effort to do it because they're making their money elsewhere. That's all that is.
Well, okay, and then if I could beg for one game on Switch, I would actually beg EA, because in my opinion, this will never happen. Like I will tell you right now, this will never happen. There will probably never be another game in this series. Give me Titanfall 2 on Switch.
I've heard people adore Titanfall 2, specifically 2.
2? Titanfall 2, I hold it in the same regards as Black Ops 2.
Okay.
And I'm being serious. I'm being serious on that. The campaign, it's fine. The multiplayer, oh my, its biggest problem was EA tried to freaking bury it, which they did, because I can't remember what year it came out. Guess what week they released? EA released the same week they put out Titanfall 2. Just take a guess.
God, I wouldn't even know where to start.
You're gonna say, why the hell would you release Titanfall 2 the same week?
Was it Horizon?
It was an EA published game.
Oh God, they did the Square Enix thing. Oh God, what was it?
Battlefield 1.
Yeah, goodbye.
Like,
yeah,
you
wanted that fucking studio to fail. You guys are assholes.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, come on.
Burying a game, just like they buried Ultima back in the day, just like they buried Thief back in the day, just like they buried Star Control 2 back in the day. It's what they fucking.
The only way I found out about Titanfall 2 was from a promo at fucking Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm not even kidding. That is how I found out that game was happening. They didn't promote it. They might have announced it. I don't know, but they wanted to sweep that under the rug so damn quick. Because if you remember, I don't remember which Call of Duty that was, but that was the one that was in space.
Is that Ghosts? No.
No,
that was.
Might have been it was Infinite Warfare.
Infinite Warfare. That's it. And see, that's the thing. I've also said is there's some good ports, by the way. When we got the new Call of Duty deal, I was the first person that raised my hand and it's like, I don't give a shit about your new live service trash. Can we get Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty Big Red 1, and Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare OG? Can we just get those games on Switch? I would be great just with those three.
That's fair. No, and I at this point I just want to remaster Black Ops 2. Can we get that?
Black Ops 2, yeah, I hear great things about Black Ops. Yeah, can we get those 4? Just those 4. Just curate those. That's curation. We don't have to have your new trash. Nobody cares. Give us the good games that everybody legendarily loves. Just curate the shit out of those games. And that's what Nintendo has done this entire generation, is they put out banger new content and they've curated the best from every generation. And they've done a great job of that.
No, Nintendo is the only company keeping it real at this point. Like, I'm being honest in saying that. Because I'm looking at these companies, it's just like, what is EA's goal when they make games? And like, I can't answer that. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know what EA is doing. Or like, what is Ubisoft's goal? I don't know.
They're heading for a fucking crash is what they're doing.
Are they just hoping to get bought out by Disney or something? Because Disney doesn't really have spare cash right now.
I don't know. Yeah, Disney's in a lot of trouble now too, because Disney has over leveraged every one of their fucking properties. Disney made Marvel and Star Wars. They made people tired of Marvel and Star Wars. How the fuck do you do that?
I actually have a conspiracy theory of what's about to happen to Disney, and
like,
what might happen. My conspiracy theory is, I think at some point there's a company that'll want to get even more involved than they already are in entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Their name is Apple. I think they'll just buy up. I think they'll buy up video game companies and Disney.
Well, the thing is, Apple's one company that could do it. You talk about a company that has cash on hand. What was it, $1 trillion valuation? That was a few years ago. It's probably gone up from there.
I think it's like $3-4 trillion nowadays.
I was going to say, it was $1 trillion. That made the news like 5 years ago.
And for those in chat, I think Disney last had an evaluation of like $180 billion.
Yeah,
Apple's got like Apple's got like 3 or 4 times that amount just sitting in a bank account.
Yeah, no, in terms of like actual market cap, like, by the way, Nintendo's another company that is actually more insane than you would realize. Its actual market cap is. Like, it's the richest company in Japan.
I think Nintendo, in terms of gaming, is set to be like the next Disney in terms of prominence. I think they're just using Universal as a springboard.
Well, if it can survive the coming macroeconomic and geopolitical storms, yeah, it's going to be very well positioned. And if anybody can do it, it's going to be Nintendo. Nintendo's probably our only chance as far as preventing a crash over the next 10 years.
Nintendo games are universal. They're loved in every single country.
I can't. They are. The only problem is if we're ducking under cover because of World War and we have no money, then it doesn't matter how much we love the games.
It's fine.
I think we're more fine than that awful worst case scenario I just laid out. But I do think we're going to
I'm.
be in for some really turbulent times economically and geopolitically, and I just wonder what
And I
that's
know
going to do to us, like gaming
it's
wise.
going to be bad. It's going to be bad either way you go. That's why I usually don't think about it or even entertain it.
Yep,
I just.
it's but again, these people that run these video game companies, they should be, if they are, and a lot of times, you'll hear OJ say this, and I hate to tell you, and I've told him, like, buddy, you're not correct on this. He says, yeah, but the pandemic shows us that even in an economic decline, gaming can do fine. Wrong, and the reason,
buddy, the pandemic was a precursor. That wasn't the
but
the
one,
economic
but
depression.
it wasn't the collapse. Number two, it it was the only ideal economic downturn I've ever seen for entertainment like gaming, because it literally closed gaming's competitions. Here in Illinois, we were under lockdown. Um,
Mhm.
Gaming doesn't just compete with other video games. Gaming competes with all other entertainments. It competes with going outside. It competes with concerts, camping, movie theaters, everything, bars. And all of that was closed. So, of course, people bought video games.
What else are you going to buy? I
Right.
mean, like
Now,
that's all.
in a true macroeconomic decline, unless there's another plague, all of that shit is going to be open, and a lot of it is cheaper than video games. So people are going to go with the cheaper entertainment because they don't have any fucking money.
The ironic thing is, though, is that I actually do think that gaming at this point is the cheaper entertainment, even if you might not think that.
Dollar for
And the main
dollar,
reason,
yes, because of how many hours you get at. You get a lot more bang for your buck. So I agree with that, hour
well,
for hour, for sure.
well, then when you look at these companies too, it's like movie theaters. I think movie theaters got another 5 years, and I'm being nice when saying that.
Well, I was talking to
And
my
the main,
friend Vince. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, because you're gonna explain it. Yeah.
yeah, and the main reason being, you have the biggest issue with these companies nowadays are ballooning budgets. The ones who have gotten it under control really well, I'd say, have been Universal. And as much as we like to crap on this CEO, I'd say Warner Brothers has done an okay job with it.
Yeah.
Like I see David Zaslav get crap.
He does.
I don't think some of it's I don't think it's unwarranted. However, I do think the budget cuts are necessary in regards to what is done. But
People
that being said,
got to remember that too when they see the layoffs in gaming. There are layoffs going on everywhere, dog. It's not just gaming. So
like
it's not
I
like
hate,
gaming is uniquely unhealthy. This is happening everywhere right now because people are battening down their hatches for what's coming.
which, by the way, employment is usually the last signal of an economic depression.
Mhm.
So if you think it's bad, just wait a couple years.
Yep,
But that's
it's well, and keep in mind that the Fed right now the Fed has been kind of pumping everything up with low interest rates, etc. And now you're starting to see the Fed raise interest rates, which means they can't continue to do the market manipulation anymore. So that's going to be that's another bad sign. Is hey, we've reached the end of us being able to buoy this basically.
The problem that I see, though, in terms of entertainment, though, is I think Warner Brothers and Universal have done an excellent job in regards to budgeting costs and shoring funds. I remember Illumination Entertainment used to get absolute shit for making like low cost movies.
They were the
because
perfect
people
partner
said,
for Nintendo.
well, no, like they said, oh, the movies look bland, they look boring, but then their movies made money,
Exactly.
and they made even more money when they became universally applicable to everybody. But then on top of that too, when it only costs $120 million to make a movie, and let's say that I'll be nice and say 80 million goes into marketing, you only need 400 million to make your money back. In terms of money,
Nintendo, like Disney used to be, because a lot of people have referred to them as the Disney of Japan, and the companies had a lot of parallels. At least they used to. They don't so much anymore. But Disney, but Nintendo, like Disney used to be, is very cheap, and there's a reason they chose Illumination Studios.
In Illumination, they're cheap, but they got brand loyalty at this
They
point.
do,
Even
absolutely
if people
do. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at animated films that have made $1 billion over the past decade,
Illumination's
I mean,
on that a lot of times.
multiple times. But I mean, no, you look at it in terms of entertainment, streaming has really ruined everything. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah. Streaming has been By the way, I called this. I said that what's going to happen is it won't just be confined to Netflix, which would be ideal. Everybody's going to have their own service. It's going to get segmented, and it's going to be the new fucking cable, which everybody fucking hated cable. That's why they fled from it, and now people are fleeing streaming.
I actually have cable as a young person.
Mm-hmm.
I think cable's actually good. I wouldn't be surprised if we went back to it.
At this point, where do you think they're going? They're going back to cable. I'm sure. I can't verify that, but I bet you if
They're not.
I bet you if I looked at the numbers for cable, they're up from where they were 5
They're
years ago.
It's actually gone down a little bit still.
Oh,
but
okay. So yeah, they're not coming back. I don't know where the fuck they're going. I'll tell you where they're going. They're going to pirate, and they're going back to physical media.
However, what I will say is cable numbers have stabilized, which I was not expecting. In regards to, they are losing numbers, but not what they were predicting.
Okay.
I think the main reason for that being is probably sports right now.
So yeah, when you get sports is literally keeping sports is what's kept them afloat, really.
But that being said, like sports, I mean, it's expensive to go to a game now, so you might as well watch it on TV. And I say that as somebody who goes to a lot of sports. But I mean, when you look at entertainment medias out here, like I live in the middle of rinky-dink, like near Kansas, near Nebraska, in that region, where there's not a lot of money. If I want to go to the movie theater, a matinee ticket in a small town theater cost me $14.
Uh-huh.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, and
like that.
Well, I feel like the future of movie theaters that might save them. Again, it might not, but I feel like the future of movies isn't putting new movies in theaters. Some of the most packed theaters I've seen are like they had The Wizard of Oz on, and they had The Mummy, the old Mummy with Brendan Fraser, and that theater was packed. Whereas new movies you go to, and like went to Furiosa, this is a new movie, and we were the only ones there aside from like 3 other people.
Furiosa did not do well at all.
Furiosa did terrible. It was amazing, homie. It was great.
What I think movie theaters need to do, or what the movie companies need to do, you need less movies that cost $200 million to make. Disney. Disney.
Well, keep in mind that was the we proposition. Keep that in mind. When Iwata gave us Heart of the Gamer speech, he talked about how the budgets for gaming were going up, but the macroeconomics. But the only reason they were able to do that is because they were following the macroeconomic trend, which at the time was going up. But Iwata's question is, what happens when the macroeconomic conditions go the other direction? And that is what brings us to the dilemma. And his proposition, the Nintendo proposition for avoiding the dilemma, is to make cheaper games that are more accessible to more people. And the video game industry rejected that proposition, which led to the 2009-2010 bloodbath of THQ being drawn and quartered and losing almost 200 game studios.
Mm-hmm. And now my thing is when I look at like entertainment medium, specifically like TV, I don't think the entertainment company realized how vital cable was, in the sense of, ironically, I don't think they realized how vital antenna TV was. And what I'm going to mean by that is, back in the 1950s, 1960s, you had 3, maybe 4 channels, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's watching these 2 or 3 channels, which means 40 million people could be watching a news report. 30 million people could be watching the same sitcom. That doesn't exist anymore.
No, it's all bifurcated now.
The only thing that you might have is maybe Amazon Prime, because they throw that in with everything. But even then, they overspend. So there's no money to be made there. Whereas you look at it, it's like,
a good example of like Fallout. Fallout TV show is really fucking good. But I got to tell you, watching that show, my question was, how much money did this fucking thing cost? Because, oh my God.
Rings of Power.
That doesn't exist. What the fuck is Rings of Power? That hallucination is noted. That doesn't exist.
9 figures per episode.
Fucking
ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And then to fuck it up like they did. Like they only got the appendices, by the way. What the fuck can you do with the appendices?
So, no, what I mean though is, at this point, unless Hollywood is money laundering, literally, I don't understand how you can get these conflated budgets. Like,
well,
I really don't.
That's why they're in trouble. They're not.
But like, The thing is, though, is that when you look at gaming, Hollywood's biggest weakness is actually gaming strength, in the sense of there is no one specific gamer. Gaming is built around the predicate of different experiences for different customers.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest problem is Sony nowadays is either promoting similar games or the same game in their system, which I think is ruining their ecosystem personally.
Well, look, they
Yeah.
fired Japan Studio, and now every game looks the same. Basically, it's like you
But-
and I like Ghost of Tsushima. It was cool, but look at Ghost of Tsushima and the way that cinematically. Look at Spider-Man. Somebody put a thing together, and it's just like The Walking in Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima,
No,
Spider-Man 2,
I will.
and Last of Us. And it
Ghost
was aside from the aesthetic, it might as well have been the same goddamn game.
Ghost of Tsushima, I will go to bat for. I did love that
I
game.
love it. It's good.
But like I could see what people had issues with. The thing is, though, is that there are people who like shooters. There are people that like platformers. I'm one of them.
Yep, me
There
too.
are people who like strategy puzzle games. I'm also one of those. There are people who love RPGs. There's not the reason why gaming works in the same way that streaming doesn't work is because not everybody's the exact same, and different games sell differently because they have different markets.
Yep, and
Like,
Sony only seems to have the popcorn ass games.
There's only one company right now that I would say is making games for everybody. Nintendo. Like, I mean,
well, Nintendo. One thing they've never strayed from is their mission. They make games for people ages 5 to 95. That is their mission. They have made products like that now throughout their history, starting from literally back in the 1800s when they made Hanafuda cards. They actually had a marketing deal in the 30s and 40s with Disney, which I've actually got some artifacts from that time. It is Nintendo produced licensed Disney products. Super fucking cool stuff that's worth probably thousands of dollars if I were to sell.
But like even then, I don't think the Switch has ever really embraced one community specifically. Like, if I were to say there's been a community that got more love than any generation, it's probably the RPG crowd. Mm-hmm. But let's be real for a second. How much love have they got in the past 2 generations of Nintendo consoles? Of like the Wii and the Wii U? Like, let's be honest. How much love did they get?
Well, I mean, none, because nobody. You had Xenoblade, you had Xenoblade Chronicles, and we had to beg for that. We had to literally, well, not only beg, we had to fight for that.
But like even then, I'm starting to notice too, though, that more people are actually starting to buy these RPG games, specifically the Mario ones. Like Super Mario RPG did fantastic.
What did it do? Like 3 times it's in like the first week, 3 times its initial sales on the SNES. Now again, population growth, but I'm sorry, at this point, it's defeated population growth. It sold more. You can account for population growth. It still sold more.
I do want to mention real quick, Mario versus Donkey Kong on the GBA sold like 1.37 million, and the Switch game is already at 1.12 million. So
yeah, it'll easily beat the pop growth. It'll easily beat the pop growth.
Which that's crazy to me. Like, I don't know how that happens.
Switch, brother. It's all right. So we're gonna go to Super Chats real quick. We're gonna go and read these and see if there's anything to talk about here, because I know you're getting pretty stretched for time.
So I'm good. I can go a little bit more if needed.
Beautiful. Okay. Yeah. And when you got to go, just let me know. And that's absolutely fine. So Brooke Barnes says hello. And then Keith SLG says, image of your volume wasn't working. Show has been awesome. Just no chat. So this is before we got the chat working. And then Brooke Barnes says, I'm fine. Just laughing because my technical ineptitude probably. Brooke Barnes says, Zoo, if there is a Nintendo Direct next week on Tuesday, are you watching or excited that is coming? Oh, I'm there. I'm there.
That's frame one.
It'll probably happen when I'm at work, so I can never react to these things because, I'm probably in a meeting. But I will. Hopefully Nintendo will give me enough time. They typically do, to where I can literally block it out on my work calendar and tell people not to bother me during that, which is usually what happens. I'm like, hey, unless the business is on fire, do not bother me. There's a Nintendo Direct. Don't bother me unless the part of the business is literally on fire. I'm not to be bothered.
This is the nice part about having some resolve.
Oh yeah, you don't have to worry about that shit. Yeah, you just watch it. Yeah. When I was a kid, I didn't like Mexican food. I would just eat the tortilla chips or sneak in McDonald's. Um, I have always tacos have always been a great love of mine. I know that's technically Tex-Mex, but I've always loved tacos. But yeah, I mean, kids are picky. Kids are picky, and their tastes are all vastly different. The only thing that kids all have in common is like chicken nuggies and ketchup and like pizza. Like, um, Rush Dog says, "Good afternoon, all. Luigi's Mansion 3 made in Canada." So yeah, Rush Dog is Canadian. And yeah, absolutely are. And that was a great pickup by Nintendo. Keith SLG says, "I think they're going to just drop the original Luigi's Mansion on the next Nintendo Direct or just before the release of the remake of 2. Keithius, that's not necessarily a bad guess. Now, is Luigi's Mansion a system seller? I'm not going to say no, but I don't think that's been proven. But it would certainly be one of those games that I need 6 games to buy a console, right? I need 3 games that are out, and I need 3 games that are coming. I broke that rule with the Switch because Breath of the Wild was that damn good. But in general, that's my standards. But Luigi's Mansion would certainly be one of those other games that could help with that. And it's been long enough to where that studio has been kind of silent for a long time. So could very well be that they've got a Luigi's Mansion 4 in the works. What do you think? What do you think, bud?
Oh, it's absolutely in the works.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if it came out year 2 on Switch.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those get that game out immediately or as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not doing a 4, they're working on a remaster of 1 or a remake of 1 most likely. That would be my guess.
That would be cool as fuck too, because I do want to. I played some of that. So my sister had the GameCube. She had a GameCube and mainly for Animal Crossing. But one of the games we did get because it came with the system was Luigi's Mansion, and I do remember having fun exploring that mansion. I think I got as far as like a room where it was like a crying baby, but you can't see it. That's where again, it wasn't my system, so I would get booted off whenever she was playing, which was a lot when Animal Crossing was here. So the only 2 games I ever finished were Twilight Princess on the GameCube and Resident Evil 4. I did finish those 2 games on the GameCube.
Yeah.
F-Zero GX was made by Amusement Vision of Sega. Well, apparently they did a bang up fucking job.
He mentions in the next comment.
Yeah, they were the Monkey Ball team. Oh, okay. They did. It's the Yakuza studio. Okay. Well, yep.
Yeah, that's
a pedigree.
Yeah. Let me actually look up the F-Zero GX Metacritic real quick because I'm pretty sure it was well above 90. And I do believe Mario RPG, if I looked it up, I could be wrong. It said the Switch game sold over 3 million copies at this point.
Holy shit.
And the original on SNES sold just over 2 million.
Yeah. So, yeah, and given that percentage, it's you could pop growth that all the way from 1997 to 1996. Sorry, it'd be 1996 to 2024. Yeah, that's not going to be a million. Not at that level. That's not going to be a million sales. So yeah. It absolutely. So even with the macroeconomic adjustment for pop increase, it absolutely it outsold its predecessor. It 100% did.
But no, and then F-Zero GX here, I actually looked up the Metacritic. Only an 89 in terms of critic scores.
Only an 89.
Yeah. The craziest part, I think, though, is user score 8.7. So literally 0.2 point off, meaning everybody agrees this game's amazing.
I was going to say 8.9 is absolutely, to me, a must play. Like that's crazy good. That's a consensus. This is a must play game.
If they just port that game and remaster it, or even I'd take a light remaster. Oh my god.
We need an F-Zero. There's nothing they can say. Well, our racing game is Mario Kart. There's nothing else like F-Zero. Nothing else like it.
We got F-Zero 99.
Man, they can stick their live service non-physical game up their ass. Give me F-Zero GX. So I have 140 physical Switch games. my Switch has been mostly a Splatoon 2 and 3 machine. Yeah, Rush Dog loves him some Splatoon. But
Splatoon is
loves him some Splatoon. I played with Rush Dog before. It's a fun game. It's a genuinely fun game. And again, Splatoon is saved for me because it does have a fun single player component. That's the only thing that saves it for me because I don't care how fun a game is. If it's live service, trash, I don't play it.
The multiplayer. I did not really. I was not a big fan of the 1 and 3. That being said, Splatoon 2 at launch for Switch when it came out in July.
Blast, huh?
Oh man. Oh my god, that was a breath of fresh air. Because at that point, the game that I just released before that was ARMS. So it was like finally a new multiplayer game for Switch, like a new one. You know, that's how it felt. It was really good.
I do have some people say that ARMS was a replacement for Punch Out. I also reject that. Punch Out is more of a Twitch action puzzle game almost, disguised as a boxing game, where ARMS is just a multiplayer fighter.
ARMS was basic.
I don't think they scratched the same. I don't think they scratched the same itch at all.
I only do it based off the dev team for ARMS. Nintendo wasn't sure if they needed a Mario Kart 9 or not, so they let the Mario Kart team mess around and make ARMS because they're the ones who made ARMS.
Well, it's good.
And then it was like, yeah, we're just going to port 8 Deluxe to Switch, and then if we need, we can either make more levels for it. If we need a new game, just make a new game. But we'll just put out ARMS. I don't care.
Me and my dad loved ARMS. Like we played the shit out of it because he liked the actual motion boxing. Like when you would punch the Joy-Con forward, your arm would extend. He loved that.
Yeah.
So we played the shit out of that. Haven't since.
And what I find crazy about the Switch Effect, all of this stuff considered, I went to I know, not a great source, went to Wikipedia. They told me, like, I know, I'm a teacher who uses Wikipedia. You can scold me. I'm fine with that. With that being said,
here's the thing. But here's the thing about Wikipedia, real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but the thing about Wikipedia that you got to remember is that Wikipedia itself can be kind of hit or miss, but the Wikipedia is excellent for referencing. Yeah, because the actual information is in the actual website.
It's a brief summary thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is cool what it is. If I were to go, like, in terms of, we were mentioning Switch Effect earlier, if I was to go through and tell you, like, the best-selling first-party Switch games or games on Switch, it would take me until number 22 to get to a game that hadn't sold 10 million copies.
That's insane.
Meaning 21 games have sold at least 10 million copies on Switch that we know of, which is... That is absolutely crazy to me. I don't even know how that happens.
Can we be honest with ourselves yet? Because a lot of people, especially Sony ponies, are in denial right now. But I'm sorry. Can we be honest with ourselves and state that without macroeconomic adjustments, the Switch, in terms of pure numbers, so number versus number, the Switch will outsell the DVD player.
Oh no, it will. Like, it absolutely will.
I'm sorry, guys. It's going to happen. Nintendo will have that talking point. You better get smart like me, and you better start using the pop growth argument, because it's the only way you can avoid admitting that system was outsold.
Not only will it outsell it, I think it'll get to 170, 175 million.
Yeah, still not enough. If you factor in the pop growth, you're looking at, you need like 213 million. I think I calculated is what you would need.
Yeah, but I mean,
it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter, because Nintendo has the talking point that, hey, even though direct sales comparisons are useless across time, it doesn't matter. They have that number for their investors, and it's going to work. They're going to say, we outsold the DVD player.
And the other crazy thing I'm looking at too, some of these games that did not reach 10 million are absolutely amazing games. Like, I know you might like Super Mario 3D All-Stars, and that was a limited release, but that sold 9 million copies.
Oh, yeah, that is a limited release, by the way.
Yeah, so when people get upset, oh, why did Nintendo stop releasing it? Everybody bought it who wanted it. Just stop whining.
I would agree with that. Yeah, those games, and again, Nintendo knows what the cap on those games are. The cap on those games is probably around 10 to 15 million on the Switch. Those games have a market cap, and you can tell because you can go back, and same with Skyward Sword. Oh, if we put Skyward Sword on the Switch, it'll sell 3 times as much. Nope, it didn't. It sold a little bit more, not much. The cap for Enuma style Zelda, the cap for it without the aesthetics of an Ocarina of Time without the aesthetics of old Zelda, the weirdo Enuma Zelda caps at about 4 to 5 million copies, no matter what system it's on.
So no, that was the first one in terms of games that didn't sell 10 million. I'm kind of upset this one didn't sell 10 million. Super Mario Maker 2.
I thought Mario Maker was going to be a lot bigger than it was. That was one of the few predictions where I was wrong, because when Mario Maker for the Wii U launched, I said that might be the game that saves the Wii U, and that was.
Do you know this number hadn't been updated since 2022. Same with Super Mario 3D All Stars.
Right, but the reason they don't update it is because there's nothing to brag. There's nothing to brag about to investors. That's why.
A sleeper game, and I'm not a fan of these games. Monster Hunter Rise. If you like a Monster Hunter game, that's a really freaking good game.
I've not been able to get into Monster Hunter, but that's my fault. That's a game you've got to try. You got to have some dedication to, and I just don't have the time. So I do plan on eventually, like, really throwing myself into that game, because I got to review it. I'm going to review all my Switch games eventually, and I've got over 400, by the way. So think about that fucking.
Yeah. And then another game, this, in my opinion, absolute sleeper game on Switch. I'm upset it's not a 10 million yet. I'm happy how well it's done. Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Oh, I love that game so much. Oh, I love that game.
7.52 million copies.
So it's at 7. Wow. Okay. We got to do a macroeconomic breakdown real quick. We might have finally surpassed Kirby. Kirby sales.
Forget the debate about 3D Mario. 3D Kirby.
3D Kirby won. 3D Kirby fucking won. I mean, I think it did. We're gonna find out. Kirby. Okay, so the highest selling Kirby is Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy, but I think there's another one. Let's see here. No, there's not. Kirby's Dream Land 3 is so goddamn good. It didn't even sell 1 million copies. Fuck, I hate that. Kirby's Dream Land 2, 2.36 million. Where is Kirby's Adventure? 1.75. Okay, so it's Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy. So it sold 13 million copies in 1992. It's a lot of pop growth.
Yeah.
And what did you say Forgotten Land has sold now?
7.52 million.
Yeah, we're gonna settle this. Let's see, because I am very excited. I love Forgotten Land so much. I want to see it happen. So 7.52. Okay, so in 1992, global population. Okay, so 5.480 billion. So I'm not even going to try to do that because I'll fuck it up. So I'm going to put 5.48 billion numerical, and it'll just do it for me. There it is. 548,000,000,000,000,000,000,000. Okay, so let's put that there. So that's 1992. And what year did Kirby and the Forgotten Land come out? 23? 22.
It was the same year as, I think it's the same year as Xenoblade 3, whatever year that came out.
2022. Okay. Global population. We're getting into some real nerd shit, chat, but you'll stick around. 7.95 billion for that.
That game is so good.
Oh God, I could have a whole other cast with you just on Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
It is the best Kirby game ever made, and I'm not afraid to say that.
I'm not either. Alrighty, 795. Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I love the whole Forgotten. So something people, I mentioned it in my review. So literally, I grew up literally a few blocks away from the Pillsbury plant, and the Pillsbury plant is an old, abandoned, forgotten bakery mill. That's what it is. And so I connected so much with my child with that game. It sounds silly as hell, but really, like it. So we had, okay, so now let's get the numbers. We had Kirby sold 5.13 million in 1992. Okay, so 5.13 million 1992. And you said how much in how much did Kirby and the Forgotten Land one more time?
7.52.
7.52 in 2022. You always, for these kind of adjustments, you always use the game year. It's just easiest. That way you don't have to do a yield curve inversion, because fuck that. I'm not on the clock. I'm not doing that. Let's see. Let's see here. So boom. Boom. Now we can do our calculation. Okay. We need a percentage calculator. So let me get that pulled up. Okay, percentage increase, decrease. Okay, so we're going from 548. Oh God, that's a lot. That's a lot of people, man. And we're going to 7.95. Copy that. That'll give us our percentage of increase. 45% increase. Okay. So what we need to do now is we need to add Kirby's Dream Land, which is 5.13 million. What is 45%? Okay, so that's going to be another 2,308,500. So what we do now is we're going to get a calculator out. And here's how you do pop increase. So 513 or 5.13 million. Okay. Plus 230,8,500. Kirby's Dream Land with the population accounted for. If sold today, Kirby's Dream Land would have sold 7,438,500.
Oh, it'll pass that.
It already did. It already did. It's at 7.52 million. So yeah, in 2022, it did it.
That's
so right now it's keeping pace, but it'll continue. That'll continue to sell. So yeah, it's already slightly passed and kept pace with Kirby's Dream Land. But my point with that is, this is the first game in the series to even do that. No other game every game has been a decline since Kirby's Dream Land. This game was not.
This is going to sound like an exaggeration. I think they should just make every game a 3D game for Kirby now, if I'm being honest.
It works.
That game is
it works. Because here's the thing. What is Kirby? And people are this is kind of a semi-controversial thing. A lot of people agree with it. Kirby is a beat 'em up. That's what Kirby is. Kirby's a beat 'em up. Mm-hmm. Kirby is not a standard platformer. Kirby is a game loaded with enemies, and it's the only real critique I have of Kirby in the Forgotten Land. It needed more enemies to beat the shit out of with your powers. Other than that, but yeah, Kirby is a cutesy beat 'em up, and a beat 'em up works very well in 3D if done correctly. So it 100% needs to be 3D. I think this is where Kirby found its home, and I say that in my review. Like, yeah, it absolutely is great.
No, that game is just.
But just for and the proof is in the proof of the pudding is in the taste, and Kirby in the Forgotten Land tastes good. Kirby in the Forgotten Land has outsold Kirby's Dream Land, even with pop increase accounted for.
Yeah, it's just that game is. So it's probably a top 10 Switch game for me.
I think so. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, it's really good. So Rush Dog says Animal Crossing on Switch was a massive success, but it did get a big assist from the pandemic. Yeah, I'm not saying you'll ever see that again, and I do expect future Animal Crossing games to be a down decline again. But I think Animal Crossing, as long as Nintendo has the hardware base for it, I think it's a consistent 15 to 20 million seller. I don't think that's out of the question.
You also got to bear in mind too, Animal Crossing is not your typical demographic in terms of what you think would sell the game. Like when you think of a traditional gamers market, Animal Crossing is the exact opposite of that market. I mean,
Animal Crossing gets my sister. She doesn't game at all, but she plays Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
she plays Animal Crossing, and she plays what's that other fucking farm game that'll steal your fucking life that I'm terrified of playing.
Harvest Moon or something?
No, it's Harvest Moon, but it's the Stardew Valley.
Oh God,
Stardew Valley will eat your fucking soul, man. Stay far away from that game.
Mm-hmm.
It'll eat your soul. It's so fucking addictive. Yeah, and yeah, Great Wall says it is Stardew Valley. It's a terrifying game.
That game is
fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I'm trying to think though, but like even then, dude, these top 4 Switch game sales are ridiculous. Like,
I know. Yeah, if you're looking at Animal Crossing, Smash, off the top of my
Breath
head,
of the Wild,
Breath of the Wild, and Mario Kart. Yeah, insane.
The lowest selling of those 4 is Breath of the Wild. Like, I'm just gonna round up and say 32 million.
32 million for a fucking Zelda game. Oh my god. Again,
you want
to talk about another one. So with population and with the macroeconomics adjusted for, and this is even bigger than Kirby, by the way, it shatters it. So if you do and I've done the full macroeconomic adjustment. I've accounted for everything. I've accounted for everything, buddy. I've accounted for the pop increase. I've done the yield. I've done the inverse yield curves. I've done I've literally looked up everything I can on the cold market and what effect that might have had. Legend of Zelda, if sold today, and all macroeconomics were accounted for, would sell about 16 million copies. Zelda Breath of the Wild doubled it.
Yeah,
doubled it.
Man, and I hate to say this,
there's nothing Zelda fans anywhere like that in Zelda.
The traditional Zelda fans are going to get mad at me. Every single game from this point onward, in terms of new releases, could be an open world, and it would not be unjustified.
That's music to my ears because the first Zelda game was an open world. That's
even the one even the one I didn't realize this because I haven't checked in a while. Even the one that you were disappointed in, I was kind of disappointed in, Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
It still sold 20.6 million units.
Yeah, the only real disappointment with Tears of the Kingdom is it got stuck. It sold really fast, and then it bottomed out. And what that tells me is that like there was excitement for it, and then they got a hold of the game and said, "Oh," and then the word traveled, and then it stopped. And that's my concern.
I don't really think it's still that bad though. When you look at
it. No, it didn't sell bad, but we'll know. Here's the thing: we will know. So you can blame the initial excitement for Tears of the Kingdom on Breath of the Wild. So it follows that the next Zelda game will be a consensus to tell us what they really thought of Tears of the Kingdom. If the next Zelda game comes out and it's a big decline, it's because people did not like Tears of the Kingdom. It will be a referendum on Tears of the Kingdom. So that's what so it's going to be hard to gauge exactly how well liked Tears of the Kingdom was until the next Zelda game drops. And
I also want oh yeah
no,
you're good. I am disgusted by the fact that New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is the 10th best selling Switch game still.
I don't like that one. It just goes to show you the power of 2D Mario. I was actually scared it was going to pass Odyssey for a little bit because Odyssey for a little while it actually stopped. The sales weren't, but it got another boost from the Mario movie, just like you did. So I don't think there's a chance of that happening anymore. It's kind of stalled.
I think Odyssey.
Yeah.
If Odyssey tops out at 30 million copies sold, I will not complain at all.
I think that's easy. I think that's easy at this point.
I think it's a perfect number for it at this point. The one thing I am kind of shocked by still, you talk about Final Fantasy fans. Why the hell are people buying Pokemon games?
Well, it's because of it's brand loyalty. But again, you're going to start to see diminishing returns on that. Scarlet Violet was a decline from Sword Shield, and the next Pokemon, I don't know. Legends is kind of a spinoff, so I don't know if there's going to be punishment for that. The next mainline Pokemon game will be punished for Scarlet Violet. I can assure you, there will be punishment
Yeah,
for that.
I did not buy any games. I didn't even get any games after. Shoot, I think Sword and Shield.
Mhm.
Like, I haven't bought a Pokemon game since, just because that franchise bores the shit out of me. If I'm being honest, it's just the same thing over and over again. I can't
Just
keep
new and
doing
tasty
it.
monsters. That's all.
It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
I am upset. I am upset that Super Mario Party is still outselling the good one, which is Superstars. But I
Superstars
mean,
is the good one. Yep, it is. It needs more boards, but other than that, it's got all the good mini games, and that's why we play Mario Party.
Superstars is amazing.
I
But
do love
no,
Superstars.
the Switch. This Switch effect though is just. It's refreshing to see.
It's something that needs real analysis because there's a lot that everybody in the industry can learn from the Switch. Everybody.
The sad part is you could do like a 3-hour video on the Switch effects, and it still wouldn't be enough.
No, there's so much to cover. There's so many angles. Again, business minds will be studying the Switch for the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
They genuinely will. I will be studying it for the rest of my life. I will.
It's going to be the first Nintendo system since the GameCube for me that I don't sell the moment the generation's done.
Yeah, no,
so that's
it's got a permanent place in my home for sure.
I got rid of my Wii and Wii U. I'll be honest, Nintendo almost lost me after the Wii U. And then I thought about the Switch. I thought about the Switch for the longest time because I'm like, Nintendo just let me down with the Wii U. I don't understand what they're doing here. And then I thought about the Switch about a week after it came out. And I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of cool, I guess. And then it turned into the greatest system ever.
Oh yeah. No, I knew when I saw the Switch concept, I was like, okay, I'm in. Give me the software and I'm in. And then they dropped that big at E3 where it was only Breath of the Wild, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
here we go.
Breath of the Wild is just the perfect Switch game.
Here we go.
If there's one game that set the tone for Switch, it was Breath of the Wild.
Old school Nintendo is back. And by the way, that describes all of their franchises. Every single game, whether it's a 3D Mario, whether it's the 2D Mario that they put out, whether it's Zelda or the Metroid they put out, or every single fucking original novel piece of first-party software has been sticking to that. They have fulfilled the fan expectation for what that IP's gameplay identity is and added to it in a way that adds so much value we can't say no. It's been every one.
This is going to seem like a stupid comment, but I'll be honest. I can't remember the last time they put out a bad game. And by that, I mean a bad game.
I was going to say, I mean, the closest we have recently is the Endless Ocean game. And people aren't saying it's bad. It's a lot of people's not their cup of tea. But the game itself is solid. Yeah.
You want to say 1-2 switch or everybody 1-2 switch?
Not bad games. Not bad games. Just very, very mediocre and not interesting to the public generally.
But like I'm scrolling through this, I'm of the bold opinion. I don't think Switch Sports is as bad as people make it out to be.
It's not.
I really don't.
It's not. And look at the sales. Switch Sports is a fucking blast. It's Wii Sports on the Switch. What the fuck do you want?
Link's Awakening was excellent. The remake that was a fun game. That game is not sold. That game's not sold that well.
No, it hasn't. And again, that's one of those. And it didn't really for the Game Boy either, if I remember right. But again, it was. Keep in mind that the classical Zelda fan. That was one of those games that started to mix in those puzzle dungeons, instead of just giving us a big maze with a bunch of shit to kill it with a sword. Occasional block to push and occasional wall to bomb. That was a puzzle back in the original Zelda concept. Everything else was stick, sword, and enemy. And then as the games got more complex and the puzzles got more complex, you started to see people fall off. That's what happened.
But no, scrolling through these games, I'm just the nostalgia I'm feeling, even though the system's not even that old yet. Clubhouse games. Sleeper.
I knew Clubhouse Games was going to sell well. That was one I told everybody to buy. I said, make sure you buy Clubhouse Games because that's a game that will be very, very hard to find later on.
But I'm scrolling
People
through
won't
here.
get rid of that game when they buy it. People will keep that game forever.
I'm scrolling through here, and the main point I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to see a game that sold decently well that people hated and said was bad.
Yeah, it turns out customers are smarter than what these dumbass third parties think. We'll put our shovelware out on the Switch, and then everybody will buy it, and that'll fund our hardcore AAA games. No, what actually will happen is you're going to waste money putting that fucking junk on the Switch. Nobody's going to buy it, and that sweet, sweet money is going to dry up, and you'll go bankrupt trying to sell your AAA games to the freaks. That's what's going to happen.
And the funny thing is like I don't like Pokemon, but I'm not going to sit here and say those games are bad per se. Like they're Pokemon games. If I were to say one's bad, they're all bad. I can't. Yeah,
it's just a Pokemon game, and you're just tired of it. That's all.
But like, I'm scrolling through this. Like, I wouldn't say the Origami King is a bad game. I actually kind of enjoyed it.
No, Origami King is just not what fans want out of a Paper Mario game. It's not bad. It's just one of those. It's one of those creative brain farts that Nintendo likes to do. See, Nintendo has a bad habit, especially in the GameCube generation. This is what turned me off in that generation. Is they want the safety and security of an established IP, but the creative freedom of a new game. And so what they do is they take it, they take an established IP, and they take a brand new gameplay skeleton and stuff it into that IP. It's basically like a ghastly Buffalo Bill reskinning of that said IP to put whatever creative brain fart they want into it. And the result is market rejection, and the result is backlash every time. You have to work. It's okay to have creative ideas. Make a new goddamn game with those creative ideas. Don't defy your fans' expectations. The fans define what makes a Mario game. The fans define what makes a Zelda game, not you, not the creator. Death of the author, brother. Whenever it goes out for public consumption, you lose control of that thing. Now the public decides what that thing is.
Yeah, and I mean, I scrolled through this entire list. I can't find a single bad game. I wish I could.
There's just not.
I honestly, I can't though. It's
so
I don't know.
The Great Wall says, "Hey y'all, I've been listening from my phone but couldn't chat until now. Just joined from my PC. Interesting conversation for sure. Thanks, Great Wall. We appreciate that." And he says, Princess Peach Showtime is a good game, but definitely not worth $60. So kind of echo your sentiment.
So I mean, here's the thing. I don't think it's actually a bad game. It's just,
Yeah,
it's just.
So Rush Dog says Miyamoto hates making the same game but better. That's why we haven't gotten a new F-Zero. Yep. Yeah, Miyamoto hates. Miyamoto is a creative type, so he's super creativity. And by the way, I'm not knocking the man. That has given us some of the greatest games of all time. But Miyamoto needs what the thing is that Miyamoto selfishly doesn't want to let go of the franchises he established. What Miyamoto needs to be told by management, and they're not going to do that because of Japanese business culture, but what really needs to happen, they need a little bit of an American in there to say, hey, buddy, we appreciate everything you've done for us. We're going to go, but here's how I'm going to deal with that. Here's an unlimited budget. I want you to make me a new game. I want you to spread your creative wings and make me something amazing. And in return for that, you're going to let go of all these other franchises, and you're going to let fans of those franchises develop new games for those franchises. That's what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you're out. You're out of Zelda. If you have ideas that you want to throw, we'll listen to them. But you're off Zelda. You're off Pikmin. You're off Mario. You're off F-Zero. We're going to give those to somebody who gives a shit about them because you clearly don't. You want to go make new games, and we're going to let you do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what needs to happen with Miyamoto. I like Miyamoto. Miyamoto, when used correctly, is the greatest asset in this industry. But Miyamoto, more often than not, has been a stifle, not an innovator, because they put him as a manager and not as a creative type. Miyamoto is a great creative type. He sucks as a manager.
I think there's one internal dev at Nintendo that needs to be the face going forward. I can't think of his name. Head creative director on Mario Odyssey. What was his name?
Is that Hayashida? No, that was the 3D. That was 3D World. Hayashida was 3D World.
He's also he's one of the masterminds behind Switch.
Oh yeah, that guy. The thing is, he needs more than just talent. The thing about Miyamoto is Miyamoto combines many skills. So Miyamoto he was an industrial design. That's what his degree was in. So he has a firm grasp on what makes concepts solid. So there's that.
Okay,
I
got the name now. Okay.
Oh, what is it?
So yeah, Koizumi.
Okay, it was Koizumi. So
Koizumi, he's so good.
So Koizumi would need to add some skills, and maybe he has them. I think he's one of the Nintendo Direct guys, isn't he?
He is.
Okay, so I can tell you he's already being groomed for that, because the other thing I was going to add is Miyamoto then added the skills of being a good salesperson and a good like other things like being a salesperson, a front-facing person. And Koizumi already has that. Koizumi is already a front-facing, charismatic guy. That's why he's in the Direct. If he wasn't, they wouldn't put him there.
And they put Koizumi out there before they had Furukawa.
Oh yeah, Furukawa is, and they should. Furukawa, the only place I want to see Furukawa is behind the scenes crunching numbers, and when a new system gets announced, he puts the obligatory appearance in to introduce it. Other than that, he needs to be a behind the scenes guy. That's a business wonk. That would be like putting me in front of a camera to sell things. I can sell things, but I'm not that guy.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I do not have any interest of hearing from like Doug Bowser.
Doug Bowser is not. Yeah, they had a downgrade with Dougie. Dougie Bowser's a downgrade for sure.
But like, okay, you were going to have a downgrade regardless, just because Reggie.
He was so good.
I mean, Reggie is a voice that caused gaming to come to a forefront. Like, I mean, you were going to get a downgrade.
That's your pitch man. That's your English speaking pitch man, and he was the English speaking pitch man to end all English speaking pitchmans. Now. And I think there is some unfair criticism I want to address about Reggie Fils-Aimé. He gets blamed a lot for why we don't get. He got blamed for not getting Xenoblade. He also got blamed for not getting Earthbound. It's not Reggie's fault we can't get Earthbound. He knows you want Earthbound. If you want to blame anybody for that, you can blame the Creative Commons issues with the music. And you can blame the fact that Shigesaki Itoi is one of the busiest people in Japan. He is literally a Renaissance man over there that is involved in everything from cooking shows to writing calendars, and he's busy. And to quote again, there is no point in remastering or making a new Earthbound game if you don't have Shigesaki Itoi. He is the heart and soul of those games. So please stop blaming Reggie for this. Reggie is dismissive because there's nothing they can do with Earthbound or Mother without Itoi. There's nothing they can do.
I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Nintendo, though, I mean, if they were to bat down, I still think Tezuka has something to offer. Like Takashi.
Oh, Tezuka. Yeah, Tezuka is like the old school 2D Mario guy. Yeah, he's great.
But like the difference between him and Miyamoto is he's from the same time period, but he doesn't act the same.
He's also not a salesperson or a charismatic personality. He can't be the face. And he's also true. 60, just like Miyamoto. He can't be.
Well, Miyamoto's like 70, 80.
That's what I'm saying. Like Miyamoto, and that's the other thing, is they need to start getting some people together, because Miyamoto is going to retire or pass in the next generation. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't really buy Nintendo games based off personality. I just kind of like the face.
Well, the face is important. The face is very important to selling products. It's vital.
Yeah, that's fair. I do like Koizumi, though. I can't even think of the guy they had from Splatoon. That guy was a freaking cornball.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can overdo it, and that's what I would do. I would be too much. That's again, like I do executive leadership. I'm not the pitch man for my assets. I'm not. We hire somebody for that, because again, I'm just not there's just not that many people who are perfect for that role. There's just not. And Koizumi's good though. Yeah, he's the guy in all the current directs, because Miyamoto could literally care less about the Switch, and you can tell that's why he's been working on theme parks and movies. It doesn't interest him, and that's okay. That's okay. Go.
And Miyamoto works well for theme parks though, just because he knows what people like.
And he's an industrial engineer. People forget that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's what he does.
I've actually noticed Miyamoto games though tend to not be the best lately.
Well, it's because
in regards to like,
his heart's not in it. He's a creative type. He doesn't want to do. I've made that game before. I don't want to make that again.
mm-hmm.
That's the
I mean,
immortal
Star
quote
Fox.
that it'll echo in my head forever. I've made that before. I don't want to make it again.
Star Fox Zero is a prime example of that.
Yeah. So don't make him. I think he's earned the ability to go be your creative direction on new ventures. I think he's earned
that Star Fox game really just felt like they needed something.
Well, they keep in Star Fox. It's obvious they have no ideas for Star Fox. They just remake the first game over and over again. Even Star Fox 64.
Yeah, I'd say 64 was a good remake, though.
It was. It was a great remake, but how many times are you going to remake Star Fox 1? Like, how many times are we going to do this? And that's what Star Fox Zero is, literally the same thing again with shitty motion controls.
We're just going to keep remaking it.
No, I don't know. The inspiration of that is clearly Star Wars. So go look at okay, never mind. Go look at what the first 3 Star Wars movies did, and maybe look at the expanded universe in terms of like the different the reasons why there might be a gunfight in the air, an airship fight. Go look, but again, it's kind of bad advice because Star Wars is fucking up now.
Here's the thing, though. I know you haven't played it. Assault did that.
Okay, coolness.
Like, well, they aged up. They aged up the characters and gave them different roles.
Okay,
but like, it's different. I mean, at least it's unique, I guess. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what they need is the problem. Just because I don't know what they would want to do, if that makes sense. Because it's like, it's animals flying in planes. I mean, I don't.
Well,
really know how much
you've got to look at the inspiration. The problem is the inspiration sucks now. So I don't know what you do. Like with Mario, it's easy. You just look at literary nonsense works. You look at things like Wizard of Oz. You look at Arabian Nights. You look at fairy tales. You look at Alice in Wonderland, Gulliver's Travels, and those are all things that they've examined when they make a Mario game. So Mario's easy.
Yeah.
Same with Zelda. Zelda's easy. Zelda is any ancient legendary works. So everything from Beowulf to Britomart to with Samus, it's Alien. It's fucking Alien. So you look at things like Alien. With Samus's character, Sakamoto, you fuck. With her character, you look at characters like Hua Mulan or Britomart. There's this image throughout all of Legends of a woman taking her helmet off, a warrior woman taking her helmet off and letting her hair spill over the armor. That is an image you will see repeated over and over again in any kind of legendary storytelling. That is Samus's character. That's how you do it. You don't make her this scared little fucking brat with daddy and mommy issues. That's not what you do. That's especially how you kill that franchise.
Especially when she already went through it beforehand. That doesn't.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
Like there's things you've got to have that expert. So they need to look at the inspiration. So Shakespeare famously said that good storytelling is holding a mirror up to nature. So what are your inspirations? Why is it that this franchise resonates with people? So again, for Zelda, it's things like Sleeping Beauty, The Sword in the Stone, Lord of the Rings, the Arthurian legends. Look into that. You don't even have to keep it Western. You can do what they did in Breath of the Wild, where they looked at Incan and ancient Japanese architecture in mythology, or Incan mythology for Tears of the Kingdom, and they brought that into play. It's mythological storytelling for Zelda. That's all they got to do. So for Star Fox, it's sci-fi. They need to look at good sci-fi, good classical sci-fi. I don't know. I'd be looking at like Orson Scott Card or looking at Philip K. Dick or Isaac Asimov and see if there's anything you can pull from some of their stories. That's what I would do, but they got to care first, and I don't see that they care about Star Fox is the problem.
It's such a stupid world. I don't know how you make people care. Just because it's like in the sense of it's anthropomorphic animals,
right?
In spaceships.
Well, it is a hard nut to crack. I'll give them that. Can we start with not having Andros as the bad guy? Can we start with that?
Yeah, it's lazy.
I think that'd be a good start.
It's like Palpatine in the new trilogy.
Andros is gone. Andros is gone. He can go away. Let's get a new villain.
Yeah, I still think you need the original cast though, just because I don't think you can do a complete 180 with the series yet. I don't think it's earned it.
Well,
You know, like you can't.
and I don't think you need to. I just think you need to figure out that inspiration and get a different goddamn bad guy.
Yeah, my thing is that I never understood Miyamoto saying like, "Oh, we don't have any new ideas for F-Zero." I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
Like
because the
literally,
F-Zero shouldn't
it's
be.
a future racer like Death Race. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You
I'm
don't
like,
need
all
it.
you
You
have.
don't need new storytelling ideas for F-Zero. Just give us really cool racetracks that are dangerous and hazardous and trap laden, and let us race fast. That's all you got to do.
And I hate to say it, the franchise has never sold amazingly. So if you just wanted to make a new main character, what's stopping you?
Yeah,
Honestly,
just do it.
it's just,
And again,
it doesn't,
you don't have to put Nintendo EPD1 on it. Give it to one of your second party partners. Just come on, man.
or just give it to a lesser dev studio.
Yeah,
Like
or
I
give it
don't.
to this again. This idea that the EPD1 has to be involved in all of these projects, they don't. Give it to your B team. That's a B team game. Give it to your B team.
Honestly, maybe even your C team. I'm
Your
not
C
gonna
team,
lie.
sure, 100%. Again, I would have said the same thing for Pikmin back when it was selling shitty. Now Pikmin is an A team game. It just is.
I
Same
think
with
Pikmin. I think Pikmin's earned its spot now.
Oh yeah,
I think
100%.
after Pikmin 4, you can't get rid of it
It's
just
gonna
because.
sell 5 to 6 million copies. 100%. It certainly deserves it more than Metroid at this point.
I'd agree. I would agree with that, even though that's
Metroid,
controversial.
they put the best guy, and it's such a shame. But again, that's Other Rim. That's what happens when you literally almost destroy a fucking franchise, isn't it?
But
Metroid Dread comes out and it can't even it can't even do 3 million copies. It's so goddamn sad.
and Dread did a great job answering like, what do you do with Samus? Because Metroid is revolvent around Samus. You can't. There's no
That's
easy.
a mistake, by the way. It should revolve around the Metroid, and they already fucked that up by killing the Metroids.
I actually, the thing is though, is that I actually think they made it better with Dread. I think they might have actually fixed it with Dread.
They did.
With the ending of that
They
game.
did. Because they already fucked up. The Metroids are gone. You fucked up. Now what do you do?
But
So now you're right. Now it has to focus around Samus. The problem is Samus isn't a character. Samus is a pilot of a fucking tank. Samus is the armor, or more importantly, for the legendary imagery, the helmet being pulled off the warrior in the armor and letting the hair spill out. Aside from that, Samus is a tank. Samus is a tank. So how do you make that a character? Well, you look at Boba Fett. You look at, and by the way, Retro tried to do that, and Sakamoto literally had a screaming hissy fit where he said, "No, she's a hero. She's not a bounty hunter, motherfucker. This lady genocided an entire species." Picked up the one last baby Metroid. She wasn't in love with the fucking baby. She carted that little fucker off and dropped it off in a science lab to be dissected and cut up for energy production. Fuck off with this Samus as a hero. Shit. Get out of here with that.
The part that I don't understand though is in Metroid Prime Hunters, they introduce all these freaking characters
that nobody cares about.
And they do not. There is one I care about. I mean, which is Silex, just because he looks cool. But like,
but they don't develop him. You said so. You can't. It's hard to care when they don't develop him.
I don't know. No one's. I don't know if it's a mismanaged franchise more so than just they don't know what to do. Like,
well, Gunpei Yokoi was the real mind behind that. And when he was fired and died, Sakamoto, who was a map designer, everybody talking about he's the father of Metroid. No, he was a map designer for Super Metroid. That's it. And because he was the most senior person, he got to be in charge. And he has this weird idea that Samus is a woman with daddy issues, and that she is obsessed with this fucking baby Metroid because it sacrificed itself for her. And
she's got to poop her pants every time she sees Ridley.
Oh my god! Like I told OG that one time in chat, because like, oh, wasn't that bad? We're like, oh yeah, have fun dying in the lava because Daddy didn't tell me it was okay.
So I never played that game, but I did see like the Some Call Me Johnny review.
I'm so angry at that game. The fact that there is a Metroid at all after that, we ought to thank our lucky stars.
That game was so bad. Oh, you almost didn't get one though.
I give Eiji Aonuma a lot of shit for Skyward Sword and for Wind
Hey,
Waker.
you got be positive though. You got Federation Force.
Oh fuck. Point is, I give Eiji Aonuma, I gave him so much shit. But even at his worst, he never did as much damage to his franchise as Sakamoto did to Metroid. And it's even worse, by the way, because Zelda was a lot bigger than Metroid. Zelda had a lot more fall to get to that point. Metroid didn't have that far to fall, and he still did it. Unforgivable. Legitimately unforgivable. Yeah, there's no other developer that works for Nintendo. I can have my critiques of them. They didn't come close to the amount of damage as Sakamoto did to Metroid.
Yeah, no, that poverty game. I'm not even gonna. I can't even lie. That game's just bad.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah. That is a poverty game that there's no redeeming qualities in that game whatsoever. And shame on them for throwing Team Ninja under the bus. Like, they know what happened. That's why Sakamoto got booted to go work on Rainbow Island for like the last 15 years. That's why he basically got booted off Metroid. They know what happened, but they publicly blame Team Ninja for that fucking atrocity. And that's
didn't know what it wanted to be. I don't even know what game style it was trying to be though, because I'm like, is it like a 2D Metroid in 3D, or is it Prime? Like,
and that's where Team Ninja does get correct blame for the gameplay elements. But the main problem with that was the absolute butchery. Keep in mind, the Metroids are gone. You can't lean on the Metroids anymore. All you have left is Samus as a character, and he butchered it.
Yeah.
Unforgivable. That guy should never work on Metroid again. Keep him as far away as possible.
I will say I got probably about 10 minutes before my dinner gets here, so I'll probably
let's blast through chat real quick. Rush Dog says, "Hey, Great Wah." Then he says, "Hey, back, hey, Rush Dog." Great Wah says, "Sunshine gets so much hate. I loved it." Yeah, we'll see. I still have to play it for myself, but yeah, Window Washer Mario, it was a big part of me getting turned off from GameCube.
I hate that game so much.
We'll see. I'll make up my own mind, but it did not leave. It left about as bad a first impression as I could possibly have back in the day. Mike Clark says 3D World, Mario Wonder, and Odyssey are, in my humble opinion, are all great. Yeah, I think they're all good. Yeah, they're good games, and I love Bowser's Fury, which I like too. Again, it's hard to argue that there's a bad Mario game, legitimately.
And we mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again here. Like, when we say a bad Nintendo game,
yeah, it's still great.
It would be like the best thing EA put out in a decade. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like, yeah.
Rush Dog says Odyssey was a phenomenal experience and the Switch's first must-own exclusive. Now, let me give some context to that. Rush Dog and I have talked about this and been rounds about this. Technically, yes, you could get Breath of the Wild on the Wii U if you wanted to have problems running it. You could. But he's technically correct that Mario Odyssey was and same with the Mario Kart 8. Technically, it was that dog shit version on Wii U that didn't even have fucking battle mode. But in terms of the actual genuine first exclusive, yeah, it was Odyssey. And it was a reason to buy the Switch. People bought almost 30 million of it, or 32 million.
I would say Splatoon 2, but that's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, Splatoon 2. Splatoon is a big deal. Did that come before Odyssey? It did. It was summer, wasn't it?
It was July 21st.
Okay, yeah. So actually, I would agree with you. I would actually say Splatoon.
However, what I will say too, though, is back in the day, I remember this debate. If you want to argue, Splatoon 2 wasn't that different from 1, I don't agree, but I won't argue it.
Oh, yeah. Basically, why didn't they just port 1, right?
Yeah, and there's a reason why 1 is not as good of a game as 2 is. 2 is like a really freaking good game.
Yeah,
but
and Nintendo probably looked at it and said, we can do better. That's probably why.
Why they made 3, I have no idea.
Yeah, I thought 3 was weird too. I think you only need 1 Splatoon per generation, but that's just me. The great news is in 20 years they will still look and play amazing. Mike Clark says, "Yeah, they will." Then Rush Dog says Sonic Generations, full is a good 3D Sonic game, full stop. says, got to run, taking the family for doses. We'll catch the recording later. Thanks, Rush, as always, man. You always provide a lot of great commentary, too. So, Mike Clark says, man, seeing him playing Sonic Adventure on 9/9/99 with the Dreamcast was pretty special. Yeah, I imagine playing that for the first time back in the day would have been pretty cool. And it says, we will not listen to Sonic slander. Brooke Barnes says, I forgot to add last week, because Brooke Barnes was on last week, that another one of my favorites on GameCube is Luigi's Mansion. Yeah. Yeah, I look forward to hopefully eventually playing that on some Switch iteration. Great Wall says, yeah, I thought the movies were good. Did you play Frontiers on Switch or a different system? He clarified that he played that on PS5, right?
Yeah, PS5.
Okay, yep, PS5. The Great Wall says, I would selfishly love to have Morrowind and Oblivion on Switch, but don't know if they would sell well. Yeah, again, I'd buy 10 of, I don't know about Oblivion, but I'd buy 10 of Morrowind. It's my favorite game of all time. Great Wall says, I was upset when they put Kingdom Hearts on cloud. We all were. Well, we all were. No excuses either, especially for 1 and 2. Like, fuck out of here.
I don't even think 3 was that demanding.
No. Great Wall says, it would be an absolute dream to get ports of all the Pokemon games to Switch 2. Yeah, give my buddy nightmares here. Let's see. GTA 4 would be perfect for the Switch. Agree. And I would take GTA 4 as a consolation prize if they wanted to port it over. It's a really good game. The Great Wall said I would take the Master Chief Collection on Switch. Yes, and also Rare Replay. We'll curate the shit out of both of those. The Great Wall says I would actually love the Medal of Honor games. I used to love playing them back in the day. Yeah. Seconded for Medal of Honor Frontline in particular, 100%. Great Wall says having minions definitely helped with the kids. Yeah, the whole Despicable Me franchise really was great. Now they landed fucking Mario, so their future is secure. The trailer didn't look great, but I haven't seen any of those Mad Max movies. Get on that, Wall, especially Fury Road. Got to check out. I like Fury Road better, but Furiosa is good. Kirby and the Forgotten Land was amazing, 100%. Yeah, Stardew Valley, which we did eventually figure out. I dropped Tears of the Kingdom in May when it came out and beat it in December. It just didn't click at the beginning, but I got back into it pretty seriously and enjoyed it. And I'm going to try again for the third time. Hopefully third time's a charm, right? Great Wall says, I still enjoy Pokemon, but I had a big break after Pokemon Crystal and came back for Sword Shield. Yep. And then finally, Pikmin 4 was so good. So, all righty. Well, that concludes the Zooper chats. We always read everybody's comments. At least, I love being small enough to be able to do that. It's not like OJ's chat where it's going like fucking 100 miles an hour. I don't know how the guy does it. He does as good as he does.
So, I might contribute to that sometimes as a mod.
Well, yeah, you guys do good. You guys do good work. So I think that's pretty much everything I had for you. Did you have any questions for me before we let you get to your dinner?
I do not. I can't really think of anything. Jesus, we've been on for like 2 hours. My God. Or actually 3.
This is obviously this is your first Liquored Up Live. Yeah, these are like long form fucking. These are long form talks, man. I've gone. The lowest is about an hour and a half. The highest is almost 4 hours with Emily from Orbology. So, yeah,
you got to be careful though. As a teacher, dude, I can sometimes go on talking tangents for like 10, 12 hours. Like I can filibuster that shit.
Well, I'll tell you. Yeah, if you want to ever go for a record, you might be the guy to do that. Then.
I don't want to bore you too much.
But this has been a great talk, dude. There's no board here. This was all gas, no brakes, and I fucking love it. I think everybody else loved it too. Had pretty good viewership for my little ass. So, all right, I think that's everything that I can think of as well. And again, I'm sure we'll have you on again at some point. I guess I have one last question. I always have one last question for all my guests. So I guess that question would be. TH3, did you have fun?
Yes, I did. That was a good time.
Fantastic.
I don't know how much we talked about our main points, but the stuff we did talk about, I thought we did.
I think we kind of got around to them several times, and that's about how a Liquored Up Live goes. So, and we totally forgot to tell what we were drinking. We were drinking rum tonight, guys. Got so involved in the conversation, we did it with rum. So, all right, we're gonna let everybody go. I love you all. Thanks so much for stopping by, and go enjoy the rest of your weekend. Get the fuck out of here.